Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Casting the Spotlight episode number 137.
Getting up there.
I know, you know what I thought about too is we introduced a new segment on 100 episodes since we returned from that grand hiatus that we took from like mid 2021 to pretty early 2022. So, because we came back with 35 and then 135, we basically had a brand new segment.
Yeah. You know, that song, man, it almost feels like it'd be like in an 80s action movie. It doesn't necessarily feel like it'd be a Scarface song, you know? It doesn't sound like a cocaine dealer kind of movie song. It sounds like a training montage kind of song. Like, listening to it there, I was like, it sounds like it'd be like in fucking The Karate Kid or like a Rocky or some
it's
shit.
got the 80s like vibe to it, but it feels like somebody's making like moves and progress and like stuff is just fucking moving. You know what I mean?
But that's what I could just see somebody like fucking doing some training and like a montage video with that song playing.
I can 100%, it feels like the exact same, I shouldn't say world, but like it feels like fucking Rocky Balboa is just, you know,
kind of universe.
Yeah, it's just like it's just right down the road or fucking 50, 100,000, you know, however many miles away.
So I feel like the Karate Kid too, because it had that 80s vibe. Like I could just see that kind of training montage to that.
It is surprising we haven't watched that because me and you have been talking about Scarface for the better part of 10 years.
I brought it up the other day when me and Haley were like trying to find something to watch. I was like, we could check out Scarface because I haven't shown her Scarface, and I'm like, I don't really think it would be her bag necessarily, but like I haven't seen it in a while, bro, and I'm trying to watch it again. So like even though she's just like, this kind of sucks, it's fucking gonna be fantastic to me still.
Dude,
so.
it impacted me heavily whenever I saw it for the first time, and you.
The first time I saw that movie, I was like, I gotta show everybody this movie.
Yeah. Oh, it was. We were acting like it was just brand new. It was like fucking 30 years old already.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw that movie the first time my like sophomore year of high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine was the year I graduated. It was just like later, like a few months after I graduated probably.
Yeah.
But it like for real just spun, like there was a 6-month period in like late 2014 to like the beginning of 2015. I mean, and I still love them now, but there was a period where like I really, really got into like mob movies.
Oh yeah,
and like just shit.
I mean,
running
they're
shit.
Fantastic still.
Oh yeah, no, there was like a period where like that was like the main shit I wanted to watch.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this. I like tapped into all that, like Goodfellas, and I watched The Godfathers, and I watched American Gangster, and I watched like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot of fantastic films in that subgenre movie though, like like mob movies or like just gangster kind of film, you know. I mean, and it's one of the most classic forms of cinema. It's like westerns. Like, dude, gangster films have been getting made forever.
Mm-hmm. No, and Scarface is Scarface, but really it wasn't the first Scarface.
No, that came out in the 30s.
But, I mean, the version that we know way more about, and they got over way more once film became, you know, more accessible.
Grandiose as it was.
Yeah, it was that one, you know.
Well, that they kind of like transferred it too, because the 30s Scarface was like a bootlegger. He was like doing prohibition. He was like an alcohol dude. And like the 80s, he was like a cocaine guy because that was the thing in the 80s, you know? It's kind of wild though, because it like tied in real history to like a fake story. That's what I really like about Scarface too, is it is like an action-packed, just like cool one man's rise and fall story, but it's also like that was a real thing that happened in the 80s. Like a whole bunch of Cuban immigrants got pushed out of Cuba by Castro. Yeah. And they just got forced into camps in America.
Well, I mean, but a lot of they were criminals. You know? They were
I mean, it was a lot of people though that Castro was just like,
he dumped them.
Peace, dog.
Was it like 100? It was like 120,000 or something like that. It was a lot of people. I don't know the numbers exactly.
But that's kind of like the wild part about it is like, there's real history to that, and it was sort of like, you know, not necessarily that even all these people were coming to America to fucking cause havoc, you know. It was just like, and that's what Tony did, but at the same time, it was kind of showing how those 120,000 Cuban immigrants got pushed out by Castro for crimes they committed, but it was also like, there was no chance for reprimand. It was just kind of like, oh, you're the scum of this country. Get out. They were treated like trash. They were just the trash of the country, pushed out. And this man who was told and shown through his life that he was trash. Even his own family thought he was trash. And he made fucking something of himself. Even though it was in the worst way he possibly could have. He went from society tossing him out as trash to being a fucking king in his game, you know?
The world is yours.
He had too much of a fucking big head, maybe. But that's what caused his ultimate downfall, but shit.
Yeah, it was cool. And, like, the thing is, a lot of the people that he dumped, I mean, a lot of them were... It's kind of the way anytime people, you know... It's like not even necessarily...
an empowering film for Cuban immigrants of the 80s, because even if Tony Montana's not the type of role model you're trying to model yourself after, and Al Pacino wasn't Cuban, but like, they could see that film and be like, you know, the world told him just like they told the rest of us, like, oh, you're fucking nothing, and he said, well, guess what? Fuck you. I'll make myself something, you know?
And anytime that kind of happens too, like there's a mass immigration wave, or like they get, you know, dumped or whatever, and like you're gonna get a certain degree that are just batshit crazy criminals. You know what I mean? Like that's just what happens. Just because there's always some bad eggs and fucking.
It's happening modernly.
And the thing was, they weren't even like that. Like he got way worse once he got, you know, in that story to America. You know, and I mean it just.
I mean, yeah, he was committing petty crime in Cuba, but like he saw the opportunity through crime in America.
Oh yeah.
You know. That was kind of the story too, is like crime, especially in that era of America, 1980, like crime was a legitimate way to get rich and successful in America. Like you could still to this day, if you just lost your moral compass and literally faced the world like it was you against everyone, you'd be so much more successful. You could still make hella money in crime. It's always going to be that way. That's why it's crime. It's the risk versus reward aspect, you know?
Yeah, you got to keep your shit off record now.
I mean, you did then. It was just easier to do it then.
Yeah, well, it makes a world of difference, though. They're trying to get everybody's shit fucking digitalized and just, you know, kept track of.
Now you do one thing, and that's left in a digital footprint, you know? Like back in the day, it was a lot harder to trace because it was paper trails. Paper trails are not near as easy to trace as a digital trail is, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they weren't necessarily going to catch you on a paper trail unless they already were suspicious that you were up to some shit.
Yeah, it's way harder to like prove because like at a certain point, be like, oh, I didn't illegally gamble this, or I didn't do, you know, rob this or whatever. You know, it's like I was
like,
gifted.
Well, why were you getting all these checks? You're like, well,
so I was gifted this money.
Yeah,
was, you know, you could just kind of chalk it up to whatever, you know.
Like if you got a fat check, like why is Tony D'Angelo sending you this fat check every 2 months, and it would be for cocaine? But, you know, it's hard to prove that it's for... You just be like, oh, well, we're in a business together. You know, we sell music amplifiers. Like, you could just...
It was much easier to conceive an alibi out of thin air.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nowadays, they can literally trace, well, no, because you were on this site and you visited this person. And they can literally... You carry around a tracker with you. You know? Like... That's why, like, I mean, it's much more easy and convenient for the average citizen, but they made it a lot harder for the criminal.
Damn it! Oh fuck! You want to jump into the new segment?
Yep, we can go for it before we get off on a tangent about cocaine dealers.
Scarface. No, dude, I'm due for another watch too.
Yeah, I'm
I
probably
will
gonna
say
watch
that.
it soon.
Last round on episode 135, it was comedy movies. This time, a similar vein, but a little bit different. We drew TV characters for tonight's category. So I have absolutely no idea what's on your list, what you're going to compare your main thing to, and you have no idea what I'm going to, I'm going to compare yours to. We do know each other's main thing, but since this is a brand new segment, still basically untitled. There's a million. I've already kind of considered like some things we could name for it.
Yeah.
But we're basically gonna list the thing, and as opposed to the good, the bad, and the shits, we just kind of pick one or the other. And that's it. This is balls out though, man. This is fucking like TV show characters. This could be anything.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like
There's
this-
gonna be some very weird comparisons. I feel
Oh
like.
yeah. Well, and this is all subjective. Like it's your preference. Like we've both seen about all of the same
I mean,
type
I'm
of
sure
stuff.
we disagreed on probably some of the comedy movie takes.
We did.
That's what's kind of cool about. That's what I've always liked about ranking lists and picking your favorites of things is that everybody's is different, and that's what makes it cool. Like I don't want my personal list to be the same as anybody's because that's what makes it personal, you know. And it's kind of, this is an easy segment for listeners to kind of be able to play along with too, and like come up with their preferences as they listen. You know?
Oh yeah, and getting to know more, because I even stated on the last episode that we did the segment that this is like a good opportunity to kind of get to know us, or like maybe for us to incidentally or even just put over our likings for things, or just kind of shed light on, like, if, like, for instance, whenever I gave you This Is the End, if you took it over so many movies that the audience also recognizes, it's like, oh shit, well, maybe I should check that out, but I mean, it's a matter of opinion, but it's also like, if you're gonna build it up or say that it's preferable to like these other things, then maybe that's a good way to, and like, we're not even trying to sell it, these are just our subjective opinions, but also like it's kind of a way to compartmentalize what you think about said thing,
Yeah.
So the main thing is going to be compared to all 10 of the other things. I don't know if you want to go first, or I can go first, or whatever. What are you thinking? I think I went first last time.
Did you?
Yeah, I gave you
Okay.
mine last time.
Okay, then I can go first this time. I will say before we start this though, I'll just preface this by saying, and I'm sure you'll have some too, that like there's characters like Fox Mulder and Dana Scully in the X-Files. The X-Files is probably one of my favorite shows of all time. I'm sure it won't be included in this list because you haven't really watched much of the X-Files, and there's shows that you've watched that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
So like, it will be kind of just based on what we know each other have seen.
Alrighty, so what do we got? We're going to have a main thing, and then we're going to have 10 things to compare that main thing to.
Alright, so your main thing is Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad.
Oh, the second lead in most lists rank it one of the greatest, if not the, of all time in that show, in terms of critical and audience reviews.
Yeah, and I mean, I know how much you adore, Walter White as a TV show character. So it's
people are
like,
like, oh, he was a piece of shit. What the hell is he adoring him for?
But I mean, you can adore villains.
He had. Well, here's the thing. He was a good.
Just
he was
great.
a good man.
They can be good characters and not good people.
He was. But he was a good man at the beginning of the show.
Shifted.
But he changed. He turned into the villain before the end of the show.
Actually, he literally was the epitome of you die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Yeah. That was him.
And what's funny is that speech he gave his class at the beginning, the very first episode. He's like, does anybody know what chemistry is? Is the study of change. Actually, they're like the study of chemicals, and he's like, He's like, no, chemistry is the study of change, and like it kind of walks through how he started and how he ended and everything. And it's just like that is him teaching was like indicative of like the journey he was about to take, just changing over time.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of the show, he had great intentions. He was just trying to make money. I mean, you know, you don't want to turn to fucking methamphetamine creation to like do this type of stuff, but like that's kind of the point. Like at first he
knew he could make good clean stuff, and he's like, I can just sell
he's like
one good batch of this and leave money for my family.
Yeah, that's all he was trying to do at first. And at first, like he had clear intentions on what his purpose was. He's like, I'm just trying to leave money because I have cancer, and I'm just gonna leave something for my family. Otherwise, they're gonna have nothing, and I'm gonna be dead.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. But then, it was the Scarface, the Tony Montana treatment. He just became power hungry, and he became the villain.
He just kept going and going. But yeah, I knew, like, that's the thing. He was the lead, and I knew how much you liked him, and I know you like Jesse.
Oh yeah, Jesse's definitely the second lead.
Yeah, he
won some Emmys
he's
too.
One that I was less sure about your full opinion on. You know what I mean? So like, it'll be interesting how they stack up. So the first one Jesse will be going up against is probably my favorite character from the show. It's not. I'm probably not as high on this show as some people are, but Kramer from Seinfeld.
Oh, Kramer is fucking hilarious. Because I ended up watching quite a bit of Seinfeld, and I still have not seen the whole show. Like I need to like start from beginning to end and watch it at some point. But I like laughed way more than I thought I would. Like I did not think it would be funny, but it connected in a way that I was like, damn, I really should have given this shot a shot a while ago type of thing. But in that situation, I would probably have to say Jesse Pinkman.
Yeah, just because he's a little more.
Yeah. And the thing is like sitcoms are great and sitcom characters are great. And I'm not saying this is like a general rule, but in some of these drama shows that run, a lot longer, sometimes these characters can be a little more layered and fleshed out than some sitcom characters can be. Yeah. It's not to say that obviously sitcom characters aren't great or whatever else. It just kind of depends what you're dealing with. Even Breaking Bad did not have the biggest run of all time. I mean, they had 62 episodes, and then he came back for Better Call Saul, and he had a few more appearances in El Camino, stuff like that. But yeah, Jesse, Aaron Paul actually won a couple Emmys for his character, and he's the second lead. Like, there's years when they won a fuckload of the Emmys for that show. Nobody else is winning shit, man.
All right. Jesse Pinkman versus Eric Cartman. The randomness begins.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Dude, Eric, he is like so disagreeable and so hateable in the most hilarious way.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it's like most people would probably say Cartman's the funniest South Park character. I don't know who wouldn't for the most part.
That's the thing. He's funny because he's just so shitty as a person. He's like
cows, moms, and bees.
He's just the worst person he could possibly be.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of what makes him funny. But like, I don't know if he's my favorite South Park character just because like that is the general answer. And like, I don't know, like Kyle and Stan definitely have their charm too, and even Kenny getting fucking killed, and he like him muffling over shit sometimes. Sometimes Kenny will fucking kill you.
Oh,
Because there'll be like times where something will happen and Kenny will just be like, what the fuck? Like you'll like just barely hear him and shit.
Versus Eric Cartman.
Yeah.
Damn. I'm probably gonna have to go with Jesse again for sure. But yeah, South Park's one of those shows, man. It just they have no fucking. They still haven't gotten slapped on the wrist because like who's gonna take it that. I mean, people have bitched about it, but like, it's who's gonna take it that seriously? They really can do whatever the fuck they want to.
Well, Trey Parker and Matt Stone are just they established themselves in the 90s, and they've been around for so long at this point to where they wouldn't give a fuck. Like,
No.
even if, which has happened many of times, people have came out after South Park episodes and been like, well, this is fucked up, blah, 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 and like gotten pissed about them, and nothing's happened. Because Trey and Matt don't care.
No.
And it's kind of, dude, these guys showed up to the Emmys on acid. Like, they literally could give a fuck.
And they have a huge. That's the thing too, is like they have a huge fan base that like saying words on TV with literally cutouts of fucking figures.
Yeah, it's
literally
like the shittiest looking little like paper cutout people.
By the time you go through the process of saying, "Oh, this is wrong and this is offensive," and it's almost just like you're gonna get laughed out of the building because how seriously are you gonna take it?
They even put at the beginning of every show that little scroll that's like all the depictions of real life people are meant purely to be taken as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
There are clearly caricatures that are being portrayed very poorly. Like,
Yeah.
they're not trying to be serious. Like, they will, that's the thing about South Park though, they can talk about serious shit and joke about it because they're almost just so goofy and outlandish that they can get away with it. Because they're not reality, you know?
Yeah.
So it allows them to have a little more freedom, I feel like, in that aspect. But yeah, they're pretty hilarious. Are we ready to move on to the next one here?
Yeah.
Alright, Jesse Pinkman versus 11 from Stranger Things. She's hella powerful fucking character. That's the thing, dude. Stranger Things, great show. And 11 as a character herself, great character. I don't know if she's my favorite character in the show. You know?
Yeah. No. Did you ever watch season 5?
She's probably the lead.
I don't
Five?
I don't think I even finished it.
There's five of them?
Five's been out since fucking near the beginning of 2022.
I thought that was 4.
No.
Then no.
Or no. Was it 4? I don't fucking
I
know.
thought it was 4.
Did you watch it?
No.
There was
The
like
one with Vecna, I have not seen.
there was like a movie length for one of the episodes. It was like 2 hours and 32 minutes or some crazy shit like that. I'm not all the way caught up, but I would even say like when we were watching
It was a
and
really,
binging,
really good show.
I would even say when we were watching it and binging it, like the same year that we watched and binged The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, you know, we probably watched Eastbound and Down again, finished Entourage because you hadn't finished Entourage, and watched Stranger Things. Even through the first 3 seasons, like I wouldn't say she was my favorite character. Like I didn't hate her character by any means.
No, she was a really good character. There was just
Yeah.
a lot of good characters in that
Yeah.
show. It's hard to say.
A lot of people are bitching too, is because
I don't know though. A lot of those kids were kind of like little bitches at times. Like,
yeah,
dude, Mike and Will, fucking little bitches. Honestly, if we're being real here,
I like Dustin and Steve.
Dustin and Lucas. They were the real ones of the group. Steve was Steve
Well, obviously
was a good
Steve
character.
wasn't a little kid.
He
but
was like
high
kind of
school.
outside the group, but he was
Yeah.
also sort of in the group. Yeah, like
Well, he
them-
started
them
off as
three-
the bully.
yeah,
You know,
them 3 and Hopper. Hopper was a great character.
I liked all of them and Robin.
Yeah, Robin was good when she came in.
There was like, especially by the
I
time
liked
we were.
God, what was her dude? Nancy, Jonathan and Nancy. I liked too.
Yeah.
Just some of the kids, I was like, shut the fuck up.
You know what's crazy is they have tried excessively because of how big the show got to like top themselves, that by the time the next season comes out, it's gonna be so like it is so much longer after the last one ended.
I hate that shit, dude. That's the only problem with having such a success with an ensemble of kids in a show. Like, because by the time the show ends, all these kids are adults and it has lost its charm. Like, Harry Potter kind of had the same thing going on, where it was sort of like Rupert Grint, Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, like they were done with Harry Potter by the time it ended. They were like, I'm ready to move the fuck on, you know.
But they at least made one like every year, every even 2 years.
But
you know,
like
they were,
were, and Deathly Hallows Part 2, not taking anything away from it, it was a great conclusion. But they were fucking adults, clearly, in that movie. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, that's how I feel about Stranger Things now, too. Where it's just kind of like, dude, this last season should have happened at least a year ago. Like,
yeah.
We're stretching this out too far at this point.
You at least got to grow. You at least got to grow with the Harry Potter characters though, because they would come out pretty consistently. Whereas like Stranger Things, there's like a huge gap, and now by the time it comes out, they're going to be way older than they were.
Well, they've also done other projects, and we know more about their lives. Like I feel like social media and just that kind of presence is a lot more accessible at this point with Stranger Things, and it makes it a little bit harder because like we know all these kids, we've seen them on social media, on the news headlines, different things, like doing other projects. We see them now as adults. We don't see them as Will and Eleven and Mike and Dustin and shit. Like it's like, yeah, they're still them, but this is not season 1 charm them,
Yeah. I would probably still say Jesse Pinkman over her.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
I'm gonna go in
that's a tough one for me, but I couldn't argue that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Jesse, like that's the thing too, is like
I figured that was gonna be kind of a tough one.
Yeah.
To top for you. I wasn't sure how he would necessarily stack up, but I figured.
He changed in a lot of ways, but he wanted out of it, and Walt couldn't really get enough by the time he was. I mean, obviously
I thought Jesse was the one that ended up being like the morally conscious, like good guy by the end of the show.
Well, and I mean, taking aside that last episode, because Walt did turn around and realize that all the things that he had fucked up. I mean, that was the finale by then.
Mm-hmm.
But he did acknowledge that, hey, I can at least do this and this to compensate for what I did wrong.
Yeah.
But before that, before that last part of season 5, the last 8 episodes, he was, that gliding overall episode, which is like the end of it is whenever Hank found out. He was just sitting on the shitter, reading what fucking Gail left Walt, like the Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. And he saw, and it said to my other WW, my star, my lucky charm, all this other stuff, and then that's how he figured it out. It's just like Walt was done, but he didn't really. He even still had aspects of that hunger and that wanting to just, because for the longest time he was overlooked, and so there was still parts of that until he really realized what he did to his life, like those last few episodes, and especially like the finale, he did his best to like make up for it. But what he became was so far from what he was in the first season, when he had honest intentions and he was really trying to.
Oh yeah, he was a motherfucker by the end of the show.
Oh yeah, but it was such a rich character development, and like same for Jesse, just in a different way.
Really, all the characters had development.
They did. The show. They did. They really
all
did.
of them did.
But yeah. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. Jesse had a lot of, he had a lot of morality compared to like the way it started. I mean, he was a young kid too. Like, Walt was already 50 whenever the show started. Like his character was.
Yeah, Jesse kind of grew into being a better person, and Walt grew into being a worse person.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Jesse Pinkman versus Eli Gemstone. John Goodman's character's the patriarch of televangelist, I guess, sort of mega church family. Dude, The Righteous Gemstones is a solid fucking series.
It is. It really is.
It's damn good.
It is.
I think honestly, I still though have to say I mean, obviously Jesse Gemstone, like Danny McBride's character is fucking fantastic because he just plays Danny McBride type character again, and it's always good. But dude, Uncle Baby Billy is probably my favorite character of the show.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like such an outrageous son of a bitch, dude. He's trying to like pitch in the last season. He's trying to pitch that Baby Billy's Bible bonkers shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, we don't want nothing to do with this shit, man. And he's like, all right, fuck y'all then.
Bible bonkers. Dude, that season was so fucking funny.
It was a damn good
God.
season.
Didn't it?
Baby Billy's Bible bonkers.
They said they wanted to run with it like longer than all the other projects they did, right?
Well, yeah, it's already getting a 4th season. I think they're at least planning on doing 5.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait till the 4th one. It's gonna be so good.
Oh yeah, dude. That's the thing. That show has been like solid and built on itself, and almost got better like every season.
Yeah. I know
it was good from the first season.
It's been such a long time since we watched the first season that I'm like, man, I wouldn't mind going back and rewatching.
I did watch the 2nd season through before I watched the 3rd. Because I was like, it had been so long since I watched it when the 3rd dropped that I was like, I feel like I kind of need a refresher. And it was such a good show, and the seasons were short enough to where I was like, I'll just watch the 2nd season. But yeah, the 1st season, I haven't seen it since we watched it the first time.
Yeah.
That was the season though. Whenever wasn't that when Jesse's wife, like Amber, she shoots the pistol and chases away all the people and shit? Or was that season 2? And Jesse's like missing everybody.
I don't even entirely remember, honestly.
He's like, I think I scared him though. I was the one that initially scared him. I think. He was like trying to take partial credit.
Acting like fucking Danny McBride. I wonder if Nick had watched any of the Righteous Gemstones. Did he?
I'm sure, because he said that he watched Vice Principals when it came out. Yeah.
Dude, I haven't hardly.
So I think he kept up with like Danny McBride.
I've still hardly seen any of Vice Principals.
I think I watched season 1, but it was only like 2 seasons. But I don't think I watched the 2nd season.
I had heard like Corey was talking about it, and like they were all like, people were putting it over and stuff. I'm like, man, just anything that he's in like is usually pretty funny. Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like that's a really good role for John Goodman too. Like just going back to Eli Gemstone, like he just, I don't know, like I feel like he's really gives him a chance to have some comedic moments, but he's also sort of like seriously acting in it too. Like it's kind of cool to see him embody a character again here later in his career, local boy.
And their sister, what's her name again? I forget.
Judy.
Yeah, she's like, in a lot of ways, she's literally like just the female version of Danny, like his character in that. Like it's fucking ridiculous.
Their dynamic between Jesse, Kelvin, and Judy.
Oh yeah.
Like, those 3 together is hilarious.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I fucking love it.
Just because they all like, I don't know, battle for power within like the church. Like they, especially once Eli, like John Goodman's character, kind of stepped back and took kind of like a backstage role and was like, all right, I'm handing it over to you guys. Like it just became a fucking shit show.
Oh
because they all wanted to be like the guy or the girl, they all tried to like outshine each other with the moment. It had nothing to do with church anymore. It just had to do with like them trying to be better than the other one.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny is whenever the church and the people would like the congregation, like they would all like turn against them. They would all like unite them. They'd be like, "Oh fuck you!" They would bond together once somebody was attacking them. It was funny.
It was funny too when they lost like one of their main sponsors, the race car driver guy, and he's like, I've been with the Gemstone Church for 25 years. He's like, when your mama and your daddy ran that place, it was a great place to come worship. He's like, since you 3 took over, it's a fucking shit show. They're just like, every character in that show like has very much so their own character. You know what I mean? Like they all are like fleshed out.
They are, yeah. for sure. I'd probably have to go Jesse though again. Man, that's
It's a different kind of show. You know,
definitely
that's what's tough to putting a serious character up against comedic shows. That's what I mean.
Oh yeah. No, but the other thing is like Jesse is just so. I think it's because he's one of the main leads. It's very. I mean, I guess John Goodman is too, but that is such a. There's so many characters, I guess, in the Righteous Gemstones too. Well, I mean, there is several in Breaking Bad, but there's a few like that have a much bigger part overall.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, that's the thing about comparing TV characters, man. It's gonna be very. There's gonna be some friction there.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're heading on this trajectory. I feel like the end of the list will be harder for you, the last few. But moving along, we have Jesse versus Dale Gribble. I think Dale's maybe the best part of King of the Hill, besides potentially Boomhauer. Boomhauer's shit's hilarious sometimes.
Yeah. Dude,
Dale
King of the
is
Hill.
fucking great.
King of the Hill is like, it's funny, but it's so weird sometimes because like they're so serious. You're like, what the hell?
It's like there's a lot of comedic moments, but it's more serious than, you know, The Simpsons or Family Guy, for sure. Because like each story, like The Simpsons and Family Guy kind of like, they have a general story, like a plot of the episode, but there's a lot of just like moments that play out throughout the episode. Like, oh, here's this little cutaway and this thing and this thing. Whereas like King of the Hill has a plot to the episode and it just plays out that episode.
They do. I will say that though. They do have a story with a lot of the episodes. I mean, I guess every episode of most of these shows has some sort of story. But it's like
it's that or The Simpsons, I'd say, is probably my favorite adult animated series. But it's hard to say. Like they're probably the two though that I flip on in the background the most.
Like King of the Hill's got more of like it's like an adult animation out of all those type of shows that are more like ground in realism than
it's kind of like a sitcom
style
where it's like it plays out one individual story every episode.
It's but it's like it's more grounded in realism than like a lot of the other shows, you know, like than The Simpsons or Family Guy or South Park, stuff like that. It's more but that's why I'm like, man, it's like, because sometimes you're like, well, because a lot of it is funny too. Like there's certain episodes that are, you know, that have been fucking hilarious. But sometimes I'm like, damn, I'm like, that was actually a little deeper than I fucking would have thought, you know?
Yeah, that like even
My Judge
some of the episodes
is so
are deep, but they have like comedic moments. But then like when the episode plays out and the credits roll, you're like, damn, that was actually like a really like heartfelt, life-changing moment for Hank Hill there, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
dude, Mike Judge is on. He's no matter what, like King of the Hill and Beavis and Butthead and fucking just, you know, Office Space, like all the stuff that he's made.
Idiocracy.
Yeah, he's still an underrated creator, you know.
I forget who it was that was talking about Idiocracy that I saw. I think it was Terry Crews maybe that I saw the clip of the other day that was talking about that with Mike Judge.
Have you seen Idiocracy?
Yeah.
Have you?
Where he was like saying that that's always been Mike Judge. Like Office Space and Idiocracy both weren't huge successes when they came out, but they like gained big cult status later.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, Mike Judge has just quietly gained a fortune. Like he's always been seen as kind of an underdog in Hollywood. Like he's like, his stuff, you know, like it's sort of on the outskirts. It's never like the mainstream comedy. It's kind of like it's Mike Judge's thing. It's his project, but it always gains a following. And this guy's made millions off his art, kind of quietly.
Yeah,
you know,
they have gained a lot of, like, there's a lot of people that will pull Idiocracy out of somewhere like, oh, they're like, oh, that was one of my favorite movies or funniest movies I'd seen, and like
when
it's
it came
people
out,
you would
it
not
was
expect.
like, it got trashed
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
But nowadays, I feel like it resonates more with people in modern times than it did then, almost. Because it's like people are kind of seeing the world like that now, where they're like, man, that could truly happen.
When the pandemic happened, that
Yeah.
like came up big time again.
Yeah.
The whole Idiocracy.
The world of Idiocracy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he kind of creates his own like
He's got this
environment and space. Like Office Space was all about a group in a cubicle setting.
He's got this
and,
he's got
King
this.
of the Hill is all a group in rural Texas, and Idiocracy is like a dystopian future. Like he always has an avenue.
He's got like this ironic, dry sense of humor that like just resonates. If it doesn't resonate now, you just gotta stew on it. It like resonates later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a really he's honestly just so different than a lot of creators. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think he's underrated for sure.
Yeah,
no matter how I feel about.
I think we had him in the good, the bad, and the shit.
We did,
And we
we
both
did.
said underrated.
We did. I don't know which one of us had it, but we definitely had a discussion over it.
Yeah.
That was a while back.
I
now.
actually, I consider myself a fan of Mike Judge. Like, I don't think that he's had necessarily a project, show, or movie that have been like, this is not my bad. You
Yeah.
know, like they were all enjoyable.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really release. I was kind of talking about this with my dad, with like Quentin Tarantino and Eli Roth, or like similar. Like they don't release a lot of shit, but when they do, I'm there. You know, I want to see it. I want to check it out. Like Mike Judge is definitely one of those kind of creators too.
Didn't Dale's is the voice? He passed away, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Because
unfortunate.
the recent Hulu has renewed King of the Hill to come back for a couple seasons, and it's going to be like a grown-up Bobby and like an older like Peggy and Boomhauer and Bill, but I think Dale's going to have to be passed away in it because the voice actor passed away.
Yeah. I mean that makes sense in like a weird way, not even a sound. You know, fucking.
And it makes sense
yeah.
too, because if you look at Dale as a character, he was the one that had no care for health, dude. He drank beer and chain smoked cigarettes. Like, that's the character that you could believably be like, he died young.
And it kind of gives some like forward thinking to the show, and like
it can honestly progress.
Yeah, it can.
Joseph, his son's character, they could make that part of his story.
Yeah,
is that his dad died when he was 18 or something. You
doing know? Like I don't know. I think that'll kind of help. That'll kind of help for. Oh man, on camera.
Son of a bitch. Insert napkins down here.
Yeah.
All right. You can keep talking.
Fuck. But yeah, that's kind of like a way to forward the show, I think, in a way, because you know, if they're gonna bring the show back for a while, like there's got to be some changes. Like people want to remember the show that they, that once existed, but at the same time, like you have to be real, and you can't, play fool to the audience and be like, oh, he's still alive, and try to bring it back through some AI shit or something like that. It's like he's, it's gone, and like this, in a weird way. I don't mean to sound like morbid with it or anything, but it's like you can kind of create. It gives you a different creative outlet to acknowledge that character's passing, you know what I mean, and be like, okay, well, this is the show from now on.
I mean, it'd be different too if they had already shot some of it. He had voiced Dale in part of it before he died. You know what I mean? I don't think that was the case.
Well, you could even still play off that. The next episode after that, you could say that he, passed away.
Yeah.
Like the last one he did, if they had done
you could
that.
like rewrite some of it to be like, oh.
But I mean, how hard would that to be? You could just do that on an animated show, The very next episode, they're only 21, 25 minutes each,
Yeah.
But I would probably have to take Jesse on that one as well.
I figured.
Oh yeah, man, Jesse, he's cleaning the slate right now.
Yep, he might. There's a chance he might.
But we'll see what we got here.
All right.
Because it's not even like he's my favorite TV show character of all time by any means either. But
Yeah.
he's.
Well, that's the thing. That's kind of the thing about these lists too. Is me and you know each other enough to where we're probably not going to incorporate our absolute favorites in these lists because we know they would clean the slate with anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why some of our absolute favorites will probably be left out a lot of the times.
And if we end up on TV like characters down the road again, I'm sure, not that we weren't this time around, but I'm sure it'll instill more creativity to like the second go around, like if we revisit TV characters again, because we'll think outside the box and have seen more stuff too, and probably pick different characters that are maybe more alike in different ways, or just however we end up doing it.
Yeah.
But this is literally the luck of the draw. Like we put a bunch of categories in a fucking bowl, hat, whatever, and you fucking you pick one.
Yep.
Last time was comedy movies. This time is TV show characters. Some of you may have seen some of these shows, hopefully.
Well, moving on.
Alrighty, Jesse Pinkman
Versus Fez from That 70s
Oh
Show.
shit. Oh man. Two of my all-time fucking favorite shows of all time, man. But this is just comparing the characters, not the shows.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, Fez, man, he's a hilarious character.
He is.
But I don't know if, it's hard to, he is one of the main group, but I would almost put him as like, until the later seasons, he got more development, but
He
he
did.
was probably the least developed of the main group for
Yeah,
a long time.
Out of the first several seasons, like if you had to rank like what effort they put into each character as far as like, growth and development, he would probably be 6th of 6.
Yeah. Yeah, he got development more like in 7 and 8. I feel like
That's good. It's also because some characters are on their way out and
Yeah.
everything too. But I mean, he did his character did change.
his character was hilarious.
He was.
throughout the whole run of it.
And I'm really glad he came back for that 90s show, season 1. Hopefully, like
Yeah.
he's in something in the future, too, within the show. And that 70s show digs a little more into my like childhood, obviously the Breaking Bad does, because I didn't pick that up until like right about when it ended and everything. Which I mean, at the time I was still, 17, 18, and like I was like, damn, this is one of the best fucking things I've ever seen. And yeah, that is a little tougher. I'd still probably have to pick Jesse.
I figured that one. I figured might be a little tougher because you like
Yeah.
that 70 show so
Oh, yeah.
much, but I didn't think Fez was necessarily one of your favorite characters.
I do love Fez though. Like
Yeah.
any of the main group, like even Red Kitty, Leo,
Dude,
like
Red
some of
is
the
maybe my favorite character.
even fucking Midge and Bob, man. Like some of those
They're
early
funny,
seasons
yeah.
with Midge and Bob, like were some of the most outlandish shit like ever.
Yeah, they were.
It was so fun. And Lori, like, oh man, everybody played their role so fucking well. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like those first
There
3
wasn't
seasons,
really a bad casting in the group. That's
those
for sure.
those first 3 seasons are still like what I prefer is the time period in the show. Like those first 3 were so good
Yeah.
and so of the time. Like the first one was so set the time. As it got away from that though, it started feeling like a little bit different. But it was like, I mean, to this day, I would maybe rank 3 maybe as my favorite one. Like I kind of shift sometimes. Like before, I'd said 2 or 1 or but like when I think about it, I'm like, man, 3. Like Leo was in it. The whole group was there, obviously. Midge and Bob were involved still. Like there was some all-time classics in 3, like Reefer Madness. Fucking the Canadian Road Trip, the Promise Ring, which had like emotional weight and stuff to it, and like the Eric and Donna, like that's when the show showed a lot more layers too. Is the 3rd season whenever their relationship started to like slowly deteriorate towards like the last like third of the season. But yeah, it was such a good show though, man.
It is.
So
All right.
it's a tough one, man. He's one of the great characters of all time. Even if you look at, he's the second lead, and if you look at all time character lists, like they have him pretty high up there, Jesse. And I know this is my opinion, so it doesn't have to consider anybody else's, but he just, he's up there.
All right, well, moving on. He's one of my favorite, probably, TV show characters. I know you haven't, indulged in this show as much, though, so I don't know if he'll hold the same weight for you. But we'll go with him anyways. Jesse Pinkman versus Michael Scott. He's one of the funniest TV show characters.
For some weird reason.
So damn outlandish.
I thought you were going to say him. Damn. I know, it would have helped if I've seen more of The Office too, but
yeah,
I've seen a good chunk of it.
Anchorman did too, and the 40-Year-Old Virgin was kind of coinciding with the first couple seasons, but Michael Scott kind of became the prototype for Steve Carell's acting career.
Yeah, he did for sure. In the show, and you ask anybody, and I haven't seen. There's a chunk of The Office I've never seen. I know a lot of people that say it's their favorite, or if not one of their favorites of all time.
It is it's probably in my top 10 for sure. TV shows
of all ranges.
Yeah. I would really have to sit down and look and think about it, but it probably would be. It's one of my favorite sitcoms.
Did he come back for the finale?
Yeah.
The last episode ever?
Yeah.
Okay. And almost everybody you ask too, whenever they're like, oh man, they all say that the show was better whenever he was a full-time part of it.
Yeah. I mean, there were still good episodes after he was gone. I'm not going to not deny that for sure. There were still some hilarious moments in episodes, but some of the best moments for sure involved Michael Scott, and his just awkwardness and interaction with, he would always try to do the right thing and make things more comfortable for everybody there and end up making shit way more uncomfortable. That was his go-to shit. During, I think it was, he wanted to bring awareness to diversity, so he did a diversity day early in the show, and he just had people put on a different ethnicity or nationality, and they just had to go up to each other and say a compliment, basically. But it was well, this is not very good, because you just have white people going up to people with I am black and shit on their head. And that was the thing is I think it was Stanley, one of the black guys in the office, got the one that said I am black. It was well, he just has to play himself. But I think Pam got one that said I am Jewish, and they had the two of them go up to each other, and they said nice things about each other's culture, oh, I like how you guys blah blah blah, and then Michael just came up making things way worse, and he's all right, he's slavery versus the Holocaust, go. Or whenever you tried to make, he found out that Oscar, one of the guys that worked in the office, was gay, and he wanted to make him feel more comfortable with being gay. And it's everybody there was fine with Oscar being gay, but Michael took it into his own hands and held a meeting with everybody there and was Oscar's a gay man, and we need to make him feel comfortable here with being gay. So he kissed Oscar in front of everyone. Against Oscar, Oscar was just kind of what the fuck are you doing? And he kissed him. And that was Michael throughout the whole show. Just trying to do what he thought was right and just doing the wrong fucking thing.
I feel like the show was like built around the aura that he gave off, like
That he
Steve
created,
Carell
yeah.
as Michael Scott.
He's the one that created the like weird, awkward, like what the fuck is going on environment in the office most of the time. Anyways, it was like him or Dwight that were the real fucking like weirdos.
Mm-hmm.
And Dwight like worshipped Michael, like thought that he was like a god.
Damn.
But I know you have a lot more affiliation probably with Jesse.
Yeah.
So I figured you'd probably pick Jesse.
For one, it feels, like I know I would be able to better judge it overall if I had seen all of The Office too, because some of these other things I've seen the full thing of, or most of it at least. So in that sense, I'm gonna probably have to go with Jesse again.
Yeah.
But I had always said, I'm like, I need to watch The Office beginning to end because I've never ever seen it beginning to end before.
Yeah, I mean the episodes are like 23
we've watched
minutes.
quite a bit of the seasonal episodes and some of the other ones like chains of episodes and stuff like that before.
It's another series that I can just throw on at a random point, have on in the background while I do shit because I've seen it all the way through.
Yeah, and
so I can just kind of tune in when I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael is undeniably, though, he has some of the funniest parts in the series. Being who he is. It's like, he's a fucking idiot, but he's like a lovable, just unaware idiot,
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, this is a series I know we both saw and thought, damn, this is a good fucking series. And it also gave another side to this actor that we haven't really got to experience. Jesse Pinkman versus Barry Berkman. Bill Hader's.
Yeah, that was like one of the deepest. What 1 out of 10 was that?
That was 8.
Okay, Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the all-time roles for sure of Bill Hader's career, no doubt about it.
Well, it just showed his range because he had like really comedic moments of that character, but he also had like really like vicious moments with that character, really dramatic moments with that character, really like emotional moments with that. He like got to show a lot of different sides to his acting ability with that one character.
Yeah.
Like that show was a range of things.
I know by the time it like wrapped up and everything, I was like, damn, I really wish there was a little more of this than there is,
Cause honestly though, that's the best thing a TV series can do is leave you like, man, I wish there was more of this.
Yeah.
But
you go out on top. That's exactly what Breaking Bad did.
Yeah.
They fucking.
I think Barry too, like, cleaned up some awards in like their final couple seasons of that show, but it just like always, like it took a minute the first couple seasons for them to start like getting noticed, and then people were like, "Oh, damn, this is a pretty."
I know.
Series.
I was just one day randomly. It was like they were already into like season 3 maybe, or was about to come out or whatever it was, and that's when we were like, "Yeah, let's might as well just check it out," because me and you hadn't seen any of it, but we had heard about it and seen it advertised, and we're just like, "Fuck!" And then like we got pretty damn into it.
Yeah, it was a good show, man. I really enjoyed it. And even like NoHo Hank, he was probably one of my favorite characters in that show too. And he was like mainly comedic, but his shit got really emotional and dramatic near the end of the show too.
I didn't know what the fuck way
arc.
I didn't know what way things were gonna go. Like at a certain point in that, it was like it was really. Even what you thought was going to happen, it would still, like, just take you for a fucking ride.
By the end of the episode, like, from episode to episode, you would think something different was going to be the way it played out.
Yeah, that was some of the great range and diversity of what Bill Hader can play.
Like, Winkler's character, what was his, Gene Cousteau? Cousineau, yeah. Whenever he freaking thought that he, like, rid himself of Barry finally, because remember, like, that was the thing, too, is, like, that was the part of, like, honestly, I feel like Gene Cousineau's tie to the story was, like, that's the part of the story that showed Barry's almost, like, psychotic side.
Yeah.
was with Gene Cousineau, because he, like, couldn't fucking let him go. He just, like, kept latching on. Like, he wanted to make things right with him so bad that he was just, like, terrorizing him. Or, like, even whenever Gene thought he was done with him,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, that breath of fresh air, like, I've rid myself of this, like, toxic, almost, like, stalker-like killer in my life. And then he got home, and he was, like, sitting on the couch with his fucking family. He's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Dude, Gene, he pulled some bullshit, though, too, on Barry, and you're like, man, goddammit.
I mean, but in a way, like, and Barry was the main character, and you were looking at things through his eyes and kind of, in a way, rooting for him, but also like, dude, you're a toxic son of a bitch in a lot of other aspects.
Hitman.
And I mean, but also just, that was the thing about it was one of those shows where, like, I'm always impressed when movies can do this too, where, like, every character in the show, to a point, was unlikable. And had a lot of traits about them that you were like, this person is a motherfucker.
Oh yeah, the later it got, you were like, man, like I don't even know who to
but like
pull for here.
You still were so invested in the story that like you wanted to see the characters' journeys play out, even though you didn't really like them. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's kudos to a director that can do that, or a writer that can do that in a show and make unlikable heel type characters and have you still invested in the outcome of their story.
Well, like when Barry and his
because even Sally, who was really the most head on straight, like she wasn't involved in this other crazy shit type character, she was unlikable as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, there was many of moments with Sally where I was like, I can't fucking stand you.
I didn't think they were going to go way off and live on their own. Like, it was almost like the Walter White thing near the end of Breaking Bad when he went to fucking New Jersey and lived there for 6 months, you know, or more than that, and nobody had any idea where he was. Like, they were gone for years raising this kid.
Yeah, they, like, just started living a completely different life. And that was the thing, too, is Barry seemed like he was like attempting to be present with the kid though, and Sally was just like, she could give a fuck, dude.
She didn't really want that life.
No, but she agreed to that life because she got herself involved in that scenario with the whole. Yeah, dude, that honestly was a show that was so good, and I only watched it one time through where I was like, I could watch that one again.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
That one, it's close, but I would still have to probably say Jesse.
Yeah.
And I feel bad saying that because Barry is like a show almost anybody should check out, I really think.
Yeah.
You know? And not that I feel bad saying that, because Jesse was a really dense, layered, fleshed out character, and like, you know, you grew to, you know, understand him better, and you know, it's just tremendous. But moving on,
we got Jesse Pinkman versus the Mandalorian, the badass Mando. Honestly, that in my mind is the best, probably full-on Star Wars series that Disney Plus has released. Still, in my mind, probably.
Well, most of
it is so
the Clone
Wars,
too. Most of the Clone Wars was released by George Lucas, so they didn't actually release, because that was probably the best thing next to the Mandalorian overall that they had released.
Because I mean, some of the other stuff was good, like Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, and you know, the Book of Boba Fett, which was halfway a season of Mandalorian, but like. It was just kind of like a compilation of a number of episodes. Like, The Mandalorian feels like a show, you know?
Yeah. Well, Obi-Wan felt like a show. I just think that I expected more from certain aspects of it.
But it also just felt like, you know, because it was just one season of a number of episodes. Like, Mandalorian, they keep dropping 10-episode seasons.
Did you watch the third season?
Yeah.
Did you?
The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
I'm all caught up with it.
Okay. The third season felt like a departure a little bit from the first two, to me.
Yeah.
In a way.
Well, it was they had to follow up all that like Luke and Grogu almost going to the Jedi shit, you know, which it still took me a few episodes to adjust that like Grogu was back with Mando, because as much as I liked seeing that duo, I was kind of bummed that Grogu wasn't going to be this badass Jedi. You know, I'm like, well, fuck, dude, I kind of want to see him like be able to, you know, harness the fucking Force and be this powerful son of a bitch. Like, it's cool. I'm glad that, like, obviously Mando and Grogu are like a lovable duo, but you know, I still want to see, like, I hope at some point Grogu fucking reaches his potential and we get to see him as this hard son of a bitch. You know?
Hard son of a bitch. He's like cooing and cawing.
He's like this adorable little bastard, but like he has so much potential to be one of the strongest fuckers.
Yeah.
So it's like I want to see that utilized at some point, because we've seen it in little stints where he like stops something from happening, you know, or like he uses his Force to like help Mando at times, but he doesn't know what the fuck is really even happening at this point, or like what that is. He just does it instinctively. So that was kind of like a hard adjustment, but I still thought the third season was really good.
It was. It had a lot. It had a lot more to do with like Mandalorian, like or I should say like Mandalore, like itself, and like it had a lot more to do with like their culture and like the species and all the Mandalorians that come from there. You know what I mean? I feel like there was a little less Grogu maybe than there was prior.
Yeah.
But
well, they're focusing more on the Mandalorians.
I've heard mixed things, because I heard from some sources that there's going to be a fourth season, and then I've heard from others that there's going to be a movie.
No. Dude,
That's what I heard.
This has worked with the TV show formula. Just give us a couple more seasons, man. Fucking
day one Disney Plus launch.
It's literally, it's literally a Star Wars television series, like full on, like through and through, to the point where it's had some crossover characters, but like a majority of the characters are just part of the series. They're not like tied in with the movies and this person, remember this person from this trilogy, well now they get a series. Like, it's exploring more of the universe with a brand new set of characters. It feels like I just want it to be a TV series.
Well, I had heard that there may be some like Ahsoka crossover in the Mandalorian Grogu movie if they do that. I don't actually know what's for sure, because I've heard both things.
Just have her crossover in the series. Fuck it. She already has some.
Did you watch Ahsoka?
Yeah.
Did you? I need to go back and rewatch it.
I haven't watched any of Andor or The Acolyte or the new season of The Bad Batch. But
I haven't watched.
Besides that, I think I'm pretty much.
I haven't watched any of Andor.
I watched the first episode of Andor.
But that got good ratings.
I actually heard that it was damn good.
I did too.
I haven't. The first episode too, I'm not gonna lie, I was at the end of it, I was kind of like, I kind of don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know if it starts explaining it more as it goes on. Like, it seems like it could be good. It is different for the fact that it's like, I don't know, it's kind of this like mercenary in the Star Wars universe, like searching for his sister or whatever, you know. So it's like kind of brutal, and the character is kind of like an anti-hero in a way that, you know, ends up being part of the rebels and stuff. But so it does feel like it has a different element. It feels a little more like violent, but I don't know. I just didn't go back to it after the first episode, because I was like, that was good, but I don't know, like, I didn't, there's nothing that has me like, oh man, what the fuck's, I gotta see what happened with that, you know. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on with that.
Damn. Yeah, that was a day one Disney Plus drop, Mandalorian.
I think it's honestly a great modern series. I've enjoyed all of it,
sure.
Like pretty much every season so far. I don't feel like it's lacked in quality whatsoever.
No, and those aren't things they should like rush either, like, because they took their time with everything they put into it, and every episode seemed like it had meaning. And you know, it was just like even Bill Burr was in fucking The Mandalorian season 1 and 2. You know, it's insane.
Yeah.
How the fuck that dude ended up in The Mandalorian and Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
That's what? What a resume.
Plus, yeah, he's been in some other shit, but yeah, he
Yeah.
ended up in like The Mandalorian. He didn't know shit about Star Wars, but Breaking Bad, he was like a big fan and ended up on the show.
Mhm.
I can't even imagine how that'd feel, you know? Like, that'd be like us, like, oh, they're bringing back a crossover of like a Walking Dead show, and you know, they're gonna cast you guys in it. It'd be like, entering that universe as an actual character would be fucking wild. You know,
Yeah,
like
and then you're
like.
forever like etched in the fucking history of like this
Yeah.
thing. It's just crazy. I'm sure like, you know, he appreciates the opportunity and everything.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like he even said that he gained a lot more of an appreciation for Star Wars after being a part of it, because he didn't really like understand it or care for it beforehand. Bill Burr doesn't strike me as a sci-fi guy. You know,
It's hilarious that he ended up being one though. And then he shot first. He shot that one.
I mean, just
motherfucker.
as even fandom, like as like the thing, you can picture Bill Burr sitting down, and he's like, "I'm gonna flip on a show." I don't see him going like the horror or sci-fi route.
He said Goodfellas is one of his favorite movies.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see Bill Burr going for crime kind of movie, like crime, mob, thriller, drama type shit. He just seems like that.
Or even like Rocky and shit like that. Just old stuff that he like grew up with, you know. Is that the last one?
One more.
Damn. I think I'm still gonna go Jesse Pinkman.
Alright.
Damn. See, you're like, damn, it's Star Wars. But see, you know.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite Star Wars series.
I don't know, man. I think I have to. And that's the thing. If there's a lot of other Breaking Bad characters that I probably wouldn't have chose over him.
Yeah.
You know?
Alright, well, this one might be one of the toughest, probably the toughest one for you then.
Oh boy.
Number 10, Jesse Pinkman versus Glenn Reed from The Walking Dead.
Ooh, okay. Man, Glenn, he's technically a day one. He was in number 2 a little more, the second episode. But you heard his voice in the first one.
Yeah, he had a hell of an imprint on that series for sure. Like
he did.
He's one of those characters that long after his death, he's still being mentioned. You know.
Yeah.
And, I mean, his legacy lives on because Maggie had his kid. You know, Herschel. Like, and Glenn was Korean, so like you see Glenn and Herschel. So it's just kind of like he was one of the more emotional pulls on the heartstrings when he died too. His death caused a lot of people to say, "I'm fucking out of here."
Yeah. Weak souls, man. Weak spirit.
Well, that's honestly
weak mind.
It is kind of. I would get it if violence, like extreme violence, wasn't your thing. I understand. As a horror fan, I get that.
You should have figured that out
that's
before
what I'm talking
season
about.
7, episode 1. Then
The Walking Dead, you've experienced some extreme violence in that show, so it was like that was just the emotional weight, which goes to show you how important Glenn was to a lot of people.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it was because such a beloved character, like fundamentally this was the reason. Such a beloved character was taken out in such a gruesome way.
Yeah.
And this wasn't after 2 seasons. This was the 7th season in. Yeah. And they grew, and then like it just ripped out a part of people at that point. But the thing is, if you had known anything about the comics, which a lot of I don't know about numbers and who knows what and who doesn't, and I'm not even trying to Decent.
I
And
got you
I'm
like
not
the
trying
first
to.
like what 25 or something for your birthday. That big ass fucking.
Yeah, no, it's I think 50.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to desensitize Glenn's death either, because it was one of the most emotionally stirring, losses in the history of the show, and really including like all of television and drama and everything.
It was voted by I think it was Entertainment Weekly, like very recently, as the saddest TV death of all time.
But it was fucking brutal, man. Like I don't even know. I don't even know for sure where I would rank
potentially
Glenn.
the reason for the entire Walking Dead, because Rick could have died where he was, but Glenn saved him at the very beginning of the series.
Well, Morgan though too. Morgan saved him before Glenn did.
That's true. Both of them got him out of some seriously hairy situations that caused the series to really go on.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for those two characters.
Both of them, like Rick, Morgan, and Glenn, are my top 10 Walking Dead characters of all time.
Yeah.
Like they're up there. I know we tried to rank them before, and we might not even know if we might have ranked them on the podcast before. I don't know. But yeah. But see, if anybody had known anything about the comics or the history, and like I said, I'm not trying to desensitize the death of Glenn, because I watched the motherfucker live on a chilly ass.
He's trying to
on a chilly
find
ass
a way to say that Jesse's better than Glenn.
On a chilly ass October night in 2016, man, I watched this motherfucker get his brains fucking bashed in
front of a pregnant Maggie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the rest of the group, who also had quite a bit of love.
Dude, he had Rick's blood Rick had his blood like on the side of his face right after Negan. Did you see what I just did? Like, that shit was fucking brutal, man.
Negan was a fantastic character too.
He was. Well, no, he definitely was. Man.
One of my absolute favorites of the show.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's a tough one for you.
You're like, he's trying to find a way. Yeah, no, that's hard, because easily what I say. And also you got to look at the body of seasons and work and depth to like a lot of the characters, but easily there's more characters that I loved in The Walking Dead than in Breaking Bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even like...
Well, they had more characters.
I was going to say that, and that's a huge part of it too. They had way more characters. It was tough. And he bit the big one, Jesse never bit the big one. He survived.
He did.
Even Walt, man, he bit it. Confirmed death. But, damn. That is a tough one there.
Yeah, I figured I'd save that one for the last, because I was like, that might be the toughest choice for you. I didn't know if... Once I started seeing how it was going down, I was like, I don't know if these other ones will top them or not. I thought maybe some of the last few would be tough for you. But.
Well, the AMC shows, that's where it gets you, That those years, they were on fire, man. They set the goddamn world on fire with their hot content. But,
hard contemplation here.
I know. I hope the fucking phone's still recording now. I was almost thinking about going up there and checking it real quick.
Well, I'm gonna, have to probably go pee after we finish this.
I know. Do you want to pause it before I do? Yeah, before you do your. Okay, I was gonna say I'll answer mine first. Man, yeah, this is a tough one, and it's like you said, like on a given night, you don't know.
Yeah, that's
sometimes
kind of how it goes
you do.
With some of these choices would be, like for certain categories, I'm sure it'd be interchangeable depending on the mood of the night. But
in Jesse's more high end in his series for me, and Glenn is high end, but he's not like as high as Jesse in his particular series. But that is also because The Walking Dead has way more characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so he got,
So it's like
10 to 15 minutes on every episode, typically, that he was a part of, compared to Jesse, who would be in sometimes a majority of the episodes.
They were the only two that were in every single episode as Walt and
Yeah.
Jesse. The only two. Nobody else is in all that many. I think by a hair. I think by a hair on this given night.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Jesse Pinkman. Did you?
I saw by the smirk. I was like, he's picking Jesse.
Oh man. All right. Well, we got a whole ass part of this real quick. I gotta ask you about first before we continue on. We're already fucking a while into this motherfucker.
Yeah, we'll do mine and take a break.
Oh yeah, we definitely will. So we'll be right back. This isn't even our official break, but we will return in just a second. All right, Jesse Pinkman, man, he swept the board. How about it?
And he did.
And now mine for the category of TV show characters. For anybody out there that has ever seen the show Entourage on HBO, HBO Max, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Johnny Drama. Vincent Chase's brother, Johnny Chase. Johnny Drama. Oh man.
He's probably my favorite character from the show.
Is he?
If I'm like thinking about it, like
what about Ari?
Out of the yeah, I liked Ari too, but I don't know. Like Johnny was just more of a lovable idiot,
Yeah.
Like Ari was good, but
what the hell is that?
Probably would be. That's what I cleaned up the beer.
Oh. Look at that! Couldn't do that again if I fucking tried. Oh man, that's gonna make for
bounce. It like bounced and slid.
It just made it in.
Like boom.
Well, let's leave no stone unturned here, motherfuckers. Well, since we just got off the discussion, I'll just start you off with this. We talked about Mandalorian only a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Let's do Johnny Drama Chase versus Grogu.
Oh man.
We got a guy versus an alien.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Grogu kind of like it was almost to an annoying point that Grogu sort of took over.
But that was because of the fan base. That wasn't because of Grogu.
Pop culture. It wasn't even the fan base. It was just people that were like, "This guy's adorable. Let's put him on every
and it was mainly to sell a million
thing that
toys.
we can put him on." So that was annoying. But like I said, I feel like I'm a big Star Wars fan. I feel like The Mandalorian is probably the best Star Wars series that's been released to this point. And Mando and Grogu are the reasons for that. So I gotta give him the credit where the credit's due. Like when you actually watch the show, Grogu is, for being a character that doesn't talk, he's pretty damn important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he adds a level to the story that is pretty impressive for being a character that only really coos and caws.
Yeah.
Like, Grogu's lovable as fuck. It's not a great start for Johnny, but I think I gotta pick Grogu here.
Damn!
Just because The Mandalorian, I think very highly of at this point.
Okay.
Like, I might even go as far as to say, like, when it comes to Disney Plus series, it's probably my favorite Disney Plus series.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't really think it'd be tough. I'm much bigger on Star Wars than Marvel anyways, and that's probably the best Star Wars content they've released. They haven't, don't you think, like, it feels like Disney Plus should be doing more with all their Disney content. Like, they could be making TV series out of some of the shit that they
Like out of
made.
their actual original
Yeah,
animated
like, why
stuff.
isn't there a Toy
Before-
Story
before
TV
they-
series?
Before they bought the products of Marvel and Star
Yeah.
Wars, yeah. But they're really leaning on those, honestly. Mainly.
Yeah.
I don't-
they're
I don't
still
blame you,
releasing
Star
their own
Wars.
movies, but
I don't blame you. Star Wars is gonna make anything successful.
until you oversaturate the fucking market.
Yeah, but they oversaturate Marvel more than Star Wars.
Yeah, but they're doing it with Star Wars too. Like, Star Wars kind of lived in the mystique, you know, of being. They were like, oh, you know,
it was
we
an
release a
event.
movie every 3 years.
It was a
and shit.
once in a
Now
lifetime
it's
event.
like, you know, they're just on a streaming service. Their whole fucking library.
I got another one to put Johnny Drama up against.
All right.
Bringing Mike Judge back into the fold here. Johnny Drama versus Beavis.
Oh God. Bro, yeah, Beavis and Butthead were fucking legendary. But like, whenever I think of most Beavis and Butthead content, like, their episodes themselves, you know, outside of a few, like, you think of the moments of like them interacting with their neighbor and shit like
They're
that.
so fun.
But a lot of the stuff was them like watching music videos and reacting to shit like that. Like, it was almost like a crossover between like MTV and like Comedy Central, and like Beavis and Butthead was the catalyst.
Dude, I'm the 1 in 5, 1 in 10, whatever you want to say, people that actually prefer Beavis and Butthead over King of the Hill, for sure.
Wow.
For sure.
I think Beavis and Butthead's characters were iconic, but the actual
wow.
the actual series itself, the quality of Beavis and Butthead, I think, is much lesser.
It's so much funnier. Dude, King of the Hill took itself way too seriously.
It did. I mean, it did. It told serious
It was
stories,
almost all serious.
but it was very comedic in the way it told its stories. Beavis and Butthead, there wasn't any story. It was just these two dumbasses doing things. And there was a lot less of Beavis and Butthead than there was King of the Hill, too. So I feel like that was a part of me not really being able to rate it on the same scale. Because I feel like Beavis and Butthead was kind of like, it was less of a TV show than they were just characters. You know?
Yeah. It was, no, I mean, yeah, I'm not even like messing around, but like, it definitely, there was more story to the King of the Hill episodes. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Beavis and Butthead came first, but it was like, to me, like, I'll, at least at a certain point in time, I don't know about now because I haven't watched like too much King of the Hill or Beavis and Butthead in a while, but I watched a lot of both growing up, like a lot of both, growing up. I definitely laughed more consistently through all the Beavis and Butthead episodes, for sure, just because of all
I'll
the
say
charades
that.
and stuff that they did.
Because Beavis and Butthead were kind of like 10 to 15 minute just like slapstick fests of madness. You know what I mean? There wasn't really much story. It was just two dumbasses fucking each other over, fucking their neighbor over, you know?
Trying to score!
King of the Hill wasn't, like, you weren't gonna just sit there laughing your ass off the whole time. But, like,
it was ironic, dry.
It was, like, funny. But, yeah, it was more of a played-out story. Where there wasn't really a lot of story in Beavis and Butthead. It was just,
it was a lot of
watching these two teenage dudes be...
It was a lot of that Mike Judge specialty, like that ironic, dry humor where like something would happen and he'd be like, "What in the hell?"
Yeah, it was
there was just a lot of
Hank and Dale and Bill like playing, and Boomhauer like playing off of shit. It kind of depends on the day, but I feel like there's more like Beavis and Butthead are iconic characters.
Your reaction was just, like, wow.
I'm like, iconic characters.
I can't believe I'm hearing this.
Like, shit, I own Beavis and Butthead, like, you know, like, I fucking rep their t-shirt and shit. Like, I do like them a lot. But I'd probably pick Johnny Drama, just because I feel like I got more out of him.
Yeah. No, I would 100% say that, too. In that circumstance, there was a lot more. But Beavis and Butthead are so fucking... They are iconic just for being who they were and the way they acted and the way they're perceived.
Yeah, like they're very much so iconic television characters.
Oh, yeah.
Just for being dumbasses.
Oh, man.
What do we got next?
Okay. Oh shit! How about this? Well, you gave me my Walking Dead one last, so I'll give you this one third. How about that? Johnny Drama Chase versus sometimes a slightly comedic character in The Walking Dead, but he was pretty honcho, fucking big old burly motherfucker too at the same time. Johnny Drama versus Abraham Ford.
Abraham.
Damn!
He was in my top 10 Walking Dead characters in general.
Was he?
Yeah. I think he was like 6. I don't know, I really liked Abraham. Because, yeah, he was like legitly intimidating and like a force to be reckoned with and didn't back down from anything.
No.
But he was at the same time, yeah, he just had these one-liners that were like, man, what the fuck? Like, he cut the tension apart with just, like, saying absurd shit. But he also could throw the fuck down when the time called for it, you know?
You took Grogu over Johnny, didn't you?
Yeah.
Damn. Johnny getting slapped around. You hate him. I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, you hate every character that went against Jesse Pinkman.
Dude, you know what I watched yesterday? Not to get sidetracked, because we don't have the time either for too long. Fucking, after talking about it last solo episode,
What?
fucking the disaster artist, I watched it yesterday, and he's like,
It's a good one.
he's like, but what the fuck? What did he say? Oh, Hitchcock. He's like, and I bet he didn't fucking direct this dick out either. He's like, oh, well, maybe we checked the record, huh?
What record? There's gonna be no record that shows a picture of Hitchcock with his dick out.
Yeah.
He
Continuity.
threw birds at people.
Continuity
Real
in your
birds.
forehead. Why don't you keep your shortcut in your pocket?
Some of his comebacks. Oh, Greg know everything now. Greg know water, girlfriend.
Why don't you go get water for everybody, Greg? Maybe girlfriend bring you water or something. So you're taking Abe over Johnny, huh?
Yeah, I liked Abraham.
Damn, okay.
And me and Haley actually had a debate about Abraham a while ago, but she did not like Abraham. She was like, yeah.
He had some of the best lines,
like,
man.
he was like one of my lesser characters in the show. I was like, he was one of my favorite characters in the show.
Yeah, he was good. And the thing is, I wish I could remember his actual name in the show. Like, I'll immediately, if I saw the name, I'd be like, oh fuck, I'm an idiot.
What?
Yeah, I
Oh,
remember
his actor?
the actor name. You remember?
Yeah. I was gonna say Abraham Ford was his character's name.
Oh, well, yeah.
His
That's
actor's
I got
name-
him written down in your fucking
What
list.
was
here.
his damn name?
But he did such a service to the comic book version of Abraham. And really, Negan beheaded Abraham.
Michael Cudlitz.
Yeah, Michael Cudlitz. And really, in the comics, Abraham was beheaded on Hilltop by Negan. That's the way that went down there. It was fucking brutal. Like,
I mean, it was brutal the way he died in the show.
yeah, he was the first. He got the eeny miny mo.
Yeah.
Catch a tiger by his toe, man.
Negan, I think, also was like, this motherfucker causes problems.
Well, and also it was the little moment when he was like looking at everybody, and he like looked at Abe, and he's like, huh, and like Abe did that little, like he just kind of like broadened his shoulders and like looked up at him, like he just kind of like, I ain't fucking
not backing down.
Yeah, I'm not backing down. I'm not going down without a fight. Like, I think he was like, this is somebody that might cause a problem if we leave him alive.
That's what I think.
And he
it was.
couldn't
He
get
was
rid
a
of-
big son of a bitch who
and-
wasn't gonna listen.
Yeah, and the thing is like, yeah, Rick had a strong, forte. Also, he was like the leader. He was the man. But like, that's why he needed Rick, because if he could get Rick to break, everybody else was gonna fall under Rick anyway.
Yeah.
But Abe was a macho fucking big motherfucker that could cause an issue. You know what I mean? So he's like, let's fucking get rid of him. So we waited 6 months to see who was going to go, and he picked Abraham to dice.
And then Glenn.
Yeah, and that was Daryl's fault, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Negan's fault, but it was provoked because Daryl punched him in the fucking face. And because Daryl had the balls to do that, the irony is he didn't get the beating.
Yeah.
So, because Negan was convinced he could turn him, but you're not going to turn Daryl. He's going to fucking listen to himself.
He kind of goes by his own accord anyways.
Oh, yeah. So, all right. Well, with the next one, it's a little bit lighter of a one-on-one, per se. Johnny Drama Chase versus Ross Geller from Friends.
No, dude, Johnny. Johnny Drama all the way. Ross is a whiny little bitch, dude.
You didn't like Ross?
I mean, he's entertaining as a character, but he's a whiny little bitch.
No, he is. He definitely is. A lot of people, like, whenever I talk to my sister about it, and she, like, loves Friends, she has disdain for Ross compared to the other, like, five main characters. Like, Ross is definitely, like, ranked 6th out of her 6th, if not probably below that.
And yeah, Ross,
she's like, I hate Ross.
Left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth with the whole "we're on a break" thing. I know that's a big thing with people with Ross. I don't know, dude. I just feel like Ross is just meh. Like he does have hilarious moments, but he's just kind of the guy that plays it like too safe all the time. And Johnny's more like just the outlandish motherfucker. Gotta go Johnny.
Okay. Johnny fucking Drama.
So he's 2 for 2 now.
Yep. How about this one? We'll hit you with an old.
2, I should say.
Johnny Drama versus Krusty the Clown.
Dude, I love The Simpsons, and this is going to be kind of probably a hot take. It depends on the people, like what people are fans of.
Oh, no.
Krusty the Clown's one of my favorite characters in The Simpsons, always has been. I had a Krusty the Clown watch when I was 8 years old that I wore for fucking 2 years until I broke the damn thing. He's just like the disheveled coke addict, alcoholic clown who's like trying to hang on to his last little bit of TV relevance. I just feel like he's such a lovable, like, sad sap piece of shit character. He honestly is similar to Johnny. They're both like alcoholic sort of problems that are just hanging on to their last little bit of TV fame, even though that they died out. They're sort of similar characters in different mediums. But that being said, dude, I'm picking Krusty the Clown. I fucking love Krusty the Clown.
Oh man, that's fucked.
I have a Krusty the Clown goddamn merchandise, bro. Krusty the Clown is the man. All right, you don't shit on Krusty the Clown. No. There's a Simpsons rumor that Krusty the Clown and Homer Simpson are the same person because if you put them up side by side, they look like the same guy. You just add the nose and the hair to Homer, and it's Krusty. The paint, the hair, and the nose.
Oh my!
And he's the same guy.
Just playing. So is he playing Krusty and just acting like a dumbass as Homer, or is he?
I doubt they're actually the same guy.
No, I know.
But like they look. Like they would, like it looks like it's the same etching. Yeah, it's just like Homer's just like working this job at the nuclear plant. It's like, why the fuck are you doing that, dude? You're Krusty the Clown. You're making money that way.
Yeah. Well, nobody's paying for this fucking smoking, drunken clown anymore.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like that's the thing too, is that Homer desperately like wants like Bart to look up to him as like his hero.
Mm-hmm.
But Bart just sees him as a fucking loser. But Krusty is Bart's hero. So.
Wow. Johnny Drama versus Gustavo Fring.
Man, that's tough because I did say when we watched it that I think Gus was like one of the best TV villains. Like he was. He's a great villain in that show.
Was. See, that's probably a conflicting one there because they're not really comparable, but they're both great characters, but in dramatically different ways.
Yeah.
You
know? Johnny's kind of like a fun, lovable, makes bad, stupid decisions, but fun, lovable kind of character, and Gus is just like methodical, extremely intelligent villain, you know. He he kept it so like uptight to. His image was so on point. He was just like the owner of that
Everything.
fucking the chicken shack and shit. Oh man.
He put on basically that fucking that wetsuit fucking hazmat suit whenever he killed a guy
Yeah.
and just cleaned
Just
up,
came
took his
in-
shit off, went back
like
upstairs,
It was nothing. Killed him.
and then he's just like,
left.
get back to work.
Yeah.
And then he just left. Like nothing happened.
He's a cold-blooded, fucking smart dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I'd probably have picked Gus. I think Gus he was a great villain.
Yeah.
He was another one that I like. He wasn't like one of the necessarily the main characters of the show, and he wasn't in every episode. but
He's
he
considered the main villain,
he
like
was
throwing
up there.
Walter aside, like he's because he was like through the whole middle of the show, and then even the after effects of Gus, they had to deal with all that.
Yeah.
So he's kind of considered like the main villain of the body of the show,
Yeah.
even though he was only really around for a little more than 2 seasons, like the middle of the,
Yeah, that's what I mean. He didn't have a super long stay, and he wasn't around in every episode. But
His
he left
presence
a hell
was
of
felt.
an imprint.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's probably one of my favorite characters in that show for sure.
Damn. Okay. You're splitting it here.
Yeah.
You're splitting the atom.
Well, it's 2 and 4 right now, so let's see what we can if we can catch up here.
Isn't it 3 and 3?
No, I picked Krusty, Gus. Who else did I pick? Grogu.
Oh yeah.
And
Abraham. And you picked Johnny over Beavis and Ross.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I don't know how good it's looking from him or for him from here on out. Johnny Drama versus Michael Scott.
Michael Scott. I kind of already gave my rants on Michael Scott and mine. I just think through and through when it comes to like my kind of comedy and a TV character, like he just had so many different iconic moments that I can like look back on as a character and be like, that was goddamn hilarious.
Mm.
He was until he left. Like there was a lot of other characters on that show that I liked a lot. Daryl and Jim and Pam and Dwight, Andy when he came in, but like Michael was the heartbeat of that show.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
So yeah, I'd have to pick him because yeah, The Office is up there for me. It might be my favorite, like through and through. Well, that or that '70s show I said a while back were like my favorite through and through sitcoms.
Mm-hmm.
So
Speaking of,
going to that '70s show now.
Johnny Drama versus Red Foreman.
Oh. Fuck. See, I was like, there's a lot of characters in that '70s show Johnny could probably hold up to.
You know,
In my mind, but Red Foreman, like I said, is probably my favorite that '70s show character.
that list I saw on Rank earlier, it listed everybody from different shows on it, and the highest character that I saw that was from that '70s show was Red. Out of all,
Dude,
even the main 6.
he had so many iconic moments and lines and catchphrases, and he just became like
He got over.
He became the blueprint for the crabby TV dad. He did it so well. Like better than probably any TV dad did since like the 70s. Like Red came in and just so many moments because he could play off so many different characters because each kid had their own dynamic, and we saw him play off everybody at some point. Him and Eric's interactions were just great too. But yeah, I'd have to pick Red. I love me some Red Man.
Yeah. Some Red Man.
Some Red Man, yeah. I have tried me some Red Man a few times.
Have you?
Yeah, it got me sick once, but I think that's because I was fucking drunk.
All right, well,
I'm not a piece of shit, I promise.
and you're claiming to love Johnny Drama, and he's fucking whooping all.
Hey,
he's getting
man.
his ass a whoop. No, I picked some good ones though on here.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's put up against some tough choices, and You're putting some of my like favorite series against them.
And
so
see,
it's
honestly, I didn't know some of the. I mean, I knew you liked Gus too, and I knew you liked Krusty, but I was like, but Krusty's not even your favorite Simpsons character, is he?
he might be.
Who would he be again? Homer?
Probably Bart. Him or
Really?
Bart, maybe.
I was considering one of the three to put on here too: Krusty, Bart, or Homer. I mean, Homer's the cliche though because he's the main, one. So I was like trying to think.
I don't know though. Like, there's some. That's another show that has so many characters that there's some like side characters in that show that I really like, but it'd be hard to say they're my favorite because they're just not around enough to be.
You do need to watch. Not that I'm thinking, this would reevaluate your thoughts on all of the characters or the verses or whatever. But I do think if you rewatched Entourage, you'd be like, God damn. Like,
yeah, there's some.
I think
episodes for sure.
Oh yeah, it's such a good show. It really is. It's so funny, and anybody out there, I would recommend watching it.
Just kind of shows that skis ball side of Hollywood too. Just like how.
But it's also like
are.
him hanging out with his buddies and
and
his friends and their relationship together, and his agent Ari.
That's another one of those shows that I'm like, yeah, this probably wouldn't be made today.
Oh, but I'm so glad it was made. That's for damn sure. All right, well, Johnny Drama versus Rustin Cole of True Detective.
Bro. Single season character wise, he was maybe the best single season character ever. Rust.
Yeah.
You put Johnny up against Marty, I might pick fucking Johnny.
Yeah.
Just because Marty was a lot more unlikable, But like Rust, he was eccentric and fucking out there, and he definitely lived his life not the way I would ever want to live it. Like he was out there, but like
he was such a layered and nuanced
he had
character.
So many layers
in one
to
season.
His character, and he had so many just like dynamic moments and lines, and like you felt like you truly knew who he was as a person through 10 episodes. Was it even 10?
I think it was like 8.
That's like through 8 episodes, you felt like you fully knew
damn near an hour, but yeah, 8.
Pretty much the struggles, the trials, the tribulations, and like the thoughts of both Rust and Marty. Like you felt like you fully did kind of understand who those characters kind of were. But yeah, Rust, man, he was the man. Fucking drinking Lone Star and smoking cigs, just this disheveled looking old fuck.
He's like on my days off. He's like, I start drinking at noon. You don't get to interrupt that. As he was being like interrogated and asked questions and shit.
Dude, and I love Matthew McConaughey, and I still think that's one of the best roles he's portrayed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't honestly. I
played into Matthew McConaughey too. Like it felt like him.
What was better?
While being like a character.
What was better that he ever played? Honestly.
Yeah, it'd be really tough to say.
Not nostalgic or funnier or this or that. Like what was better?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Was anything?
There's roles of his that I really enjoy and think that he did a great job with, but like through and through, like with what he was able to do with the character, I don't know if he ever was able to like show like, damn, this guy's got some acting chops like he did with Rust,
And honestly, like even though their characters were vastly different, like Woody Harrelson fucking busted that thing up too, man.
Oh yeah,
he did a phenomenal job at the character he was playing.
Well, they're both damn good actors. They both found a script they could latch onto hard, and I mean they're best friends. So like,
and they were both
put up that chemistry on screen, anyways.
They were both put up for best actor for an Emmy. You know who they lost to? Bryan Cranston as Walter White.
Yeah,
it's the only person that got in their way.
Yeah, I mean,
either one of them could have won.
I feel like in a lot of years, one of them probably would have won.
I guarantee it.
Say Rust. All right, well, Johnny, man, it's been a tough go for you, bud. And a lot of
pissed.
In a lot of circumstances, I feel like he could. And it's not like that I'm sitting over here, like I said, he's probably potentially my favorite character in that show, dude. I mean, but you put him up against some people shows that I really enjoy and some characters that I really have liked throughout the years.
Oh, yeah. I put him up against some heavy fucking hitters.
Yeah.
And we have one
I guess
more for you.
This is kind of more one-sided, though. Because you picked all Jesse, and I've picked mainly against Johnny at this point. So I feel like our comedy movies one was a lot more split.
Yeah,
this is a lot more one-sided.
For sure. Yeah, I think you've taken only Johnny over Beavis and Ross.
Yeah. Well, is he gonna get one more or not?
Ooh.
Probably not from that reaction.
Johnny Drama.
This is the last one, right?
It is. Versus Kenny fucking Powers.
Well, it was nice to know you, John. You had a good run, bud. Kenny Powers, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He just, dude, that character became the epitome of every comedic Danny McBride role from there on out. Like, that's the character Danny McBride portrays in basically every comedic role. And the thing is, every time Danny McBride comes into a movie or a show playing Kenny Powers again, it's always fucking legendary. You know what I mean? It's always like Jesse Gemstone. There's a lot of comparisons. If you place side by side Jesse and Kenny Powers moments, it would feel like pretty similar characters. But they're both great characters.
Once he got that mustache and that goatee, like he found his niche. Like we were talking about this last solo episode with like whenever he went into This Is the End, like because he was already 3 out of 4 Kenny Powers, like Eastbound and Down seasons in. That is what he carried into that film. Yeah. And that is what he felt like. He felt like he was a much bigger deal because a lot of people that worked on that and that they were affiliated with on This Is the End were people that he was working with on the whole Eastbound and Down show. It's like that was he even did the fucking like he was like walking through the day, like after he fucking got a bath and everything, fell asleep in the bath upstairs and started cooking everybody's food. I fucking made this for you guys.
What the fuck? Daddy's alive, but he's making all the fucking food.
Dude, the scenes in that show, or the scenes in that movie, though, it's just like, I can't fucking finish this until I get a drink. He's like, the irony is, I'm not gonna be able to drink until I'm fucking done with this.
I was getting me a second glass of water to wash down this dry ass Cinnamon Toast Crunch. They're like, whoa, Danny, what the fuck are you doing, man? He's just like walking up, helping himself some more.
He's like, I'll fucking come on these walls. I'll come on these fucking curtains.
That scene specifically. And the water, like the James Franco, Danny McBride, like argument over the who jacked off on the magazine, and the fucking arguing over the water intake.
Jizzed in my magazine.
He's like, well, how the fuck was I supposed to know? Welcome to the 21st century, Buck Rogers. He's like, you built a fucking house with iPads installed in the walls and you're still jerking your dick like a goddamn pilgrim.
He's like, I'm gonna jerk my dick so fucking hard in here.
He's like shaking the aluminum batter out.
That was so fucking ridiculous. Dude, I'll never forget, like, fucking Harry's dad.
No more. I see your dick one more time. I'm fucking shooting it off.
I'll never forget Harry's dad coming like downstairs when that exact scene was on TV. And he's like, I'm gonna jerk my dick so fucking hard in here. And he's like, what in the fuck?
that is like a pretty aggressive, random as fuck line to just hear. That's aggressive as fuck. Yeah, Kenny Powers is a fucking legend. I'd say Kenny.
Oh yeah, that character, like 1v1, it's hard for like a character to be that much more powerful. See, there was a part of me that was like, oh man, would he be a good like main kind of guy to, and then I saw some of the friction with who he would go up against, not like in terms of winning or losing, but like just in terms of comparison, because I'm like, man, he's like, not that he's like, he is in ways nuanced and established, but like he's such a heavy presence because of what McBride brings to that character that it makes for a hard comparison in ways. So like even characters you think you like, he just, I don't know, man, it is so overpowering, like his fucking portrayal of that character. It's so fucking funny. And that is what he brought to all those other roles too. So I'm like, man, like, and just watching again, I'm like, man, it's still every bit as funny as I fucking thought it was. It really, it really is.
Yeah, Danny McBride, he's a legend.
Oh yeah. So but yeah,
I'm quite the fan. I feel like every project he's released has been pretty solidly fucking funny. Like, he hasn't really had a miss in his whole.
No.
Even whenever he's been like a background or a side character, like Hot Rod, he was kind of a background character in that. He was fucking hilarious. Bill Hader was in that too. That was like kind of early in all of them. Like, dude, Andy, Bill, and Danny were like the trio in that movie.
Danny and Bill were like definitely, I mean, Bill even more than Danny, but like were side characters in Pineapple Express. They were funny in every fucking scene they were in.
Well, yeah, that was kind of always the thing with Bill, is he never was the main character in the comedy movies he was in, but he fucking shined in the moments he had, you know? And then Barry, he got Barry, and that was like a whole different thing, but it was fucking great still.
Damn. So that us comparison to like to the list that we made, Jesse Pinkman was a clean sweep, and like I liked a lot of those other characters on there. And Glenn, Mando definitely posed some sort of an argument. It was just hard, you know, whenever he's as nuanced as he is and like layered as he is in terms of the. And Glenn is probably one of the only other ones that has such a body of work to put up against Jesse to make it a little harder. Because even though Mando is great and he's a tremendous character, it's still a harder like playing field to kind of level in that sense. And you know, and I love Star Wars. You know, obviously, you know how much I do, and even comparison to Breaking Bad and The Walking Dead, like Star Wars has been in my life a lot longer than both of those. But I'm like, it's such a hard thing to quantify and compare.
You never really know what, because you're just hearing the comparison for the first time as it's thrown at you. So it's kind of just what you think in the moment you're hearing it.
And you took, you know, even liking Johnny Drama, you took like 8-2 over Johnny.
Yeah.
But, you know, I did pick some heavy fucking hitters to go up against, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, I tried to pick mainly sides. I didn't pick a whole lot of main characters. The Mandalorian was.
I guess Michael Scott and Kenny Powers were main. And Grogu's kind of like a second, I guess, or you know, however you want to say it, really. I mean, Beavis also, but there's not really a lot of characters in those shows. Yeah. It's just mainly him and Butthead and shit. But a lot of the other ones were, I would say, too. So it's an interesting argument. But, you know, that's the thing. TV show characters, that could go anyway. Like, there's so many, and there's so many left on the table. And if we were to break those down from, like, other characters in those shows outside of what we picked, you know, the main thing of what we picked might have beaten or lost a lot more, like, depending on if it was a main thing or, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, you know, Jesse probably would have lost to Rick Grimes or even Daryl Dixon.
Yeah, there's...
You know what I mean?
That was the thing. I should have probably thrown some of those kind of characters in there to make it a little more of a debate, but I don't know, just part of me was like, I kind of want to make more side characters in here, and I'm sure that there's still going to be opportunity down the road for me to bring some of those characters up. You know what I mean? So, if we continue this segment, we'll be able to talk about a whole variety of different kinds of characters and people and things and products and movies. And you can go down any avenue.
Oh yeah, like the great Rick Grimes says, I got stuff out here, and stuff, and things. But anyways, on that note, you want to take a quick little break here and come back in with the good, the bad, and the shits?
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with a good, the bad, and the shits round for you tonight after that segment. Goddamn, we went in deep. Movie, TV show characters.
Yeah, that was a little longer than anticipated, but I feel like we delivered.
Oh, yeah.
It was a pretty good segment.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it.
It's been fun both times.
It has.
Because it leads us down different avenues of things that we might not get to talk about much.
Well, and I feel like those are two of the densest ones we could have done, too, is like comedy movies. Really, a lot of style movies I'm sure we could do, but also like TV show characters. I'm sure we could get deep into like wrestlers, too. But there's categories that like I know wouldn't have the runway that like those kinds of things have, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But they would still be fun to get into. But that was kind of the beauty of it being random. Like there was like 14 categories in there right now, and really only more to add. So that did not have a significant shot at being picked, and yet it got picked. Yeah. It's like, man, when I was thinking off the bat, I'm like, man, TV, movie, or like those characters, or like fast food restaurants or something like that. Any of those would like be good tonight, and I'm like, that's interesting that's the one that got picked. So it's taking us in different variants and different directions. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what gets picked next.
Yeah.
As of now, just keeping the segment in the solo episode realm, probably.
That's probably, seeing how long it went tonight, especially, that's probably the best route to take with it.
Till we get more categories and get it kind of figured out and configured the way we want to. So, well, as far as the good, the bad, and the shits go, what do you got?
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Just kind of thinking about this today, actually, because I realize I do this all the time throughout the day. At work, driving, maybe not the best to be doing all the time when I am, but like daydreaming, just like, because I feel like, honestly, it can lead me to some pretty dark moments, like thinking about some like past things that just make me like, or like thinking about some irrelevant things that couldn't happen that like I'm like, oh fuck, like my anxiety like works against me, and I'm like, can you imagine if that happened to you? But like I also feel like daydreaming can be good. Like, we have this podcast, I do the blog and stuff, like I feel like it helps lead me to ideas for things I want to do for those kinds of things. Like I feel like some of my creativity spurs from daydreaming. That's where I come up with a lot of, like, I can really get deep into my own thoughts, which can be good or bad, but I can really escape in my own head accidentally and just get caught in daydreams, and they can be positive or negative ones, but so it is always a mixed bag for me, but I feel like there is some positive that can come from daydreaming. I know it's always like hey, you're distracted, you're not paying attention, quit daydreaming. It's always like the stigmatism around it, and it can be detrimental to your daily life for sure. If you like just sitting there thinking about shit and not getting anything done. But like, to a point, I feel like it's actually helped me come up with some creative things in the past. It's something that I don't really think about. I feel like it's something everybody does. Everybody sits there and gets caught up in thoughts and escapes and isn't really present for a minute, But nobody really discusses that. Everybody just has lives inside their own head to a degree, And that's not the side that we should really see with one another, because it's not really a talked about side of ourselves. We don't really think about it. It just happens. We just, and then we're back. But I just got thinking about that today as I came out of a daydream. I was like,
Yeah, you kind of see like the end result, and like some days, like I wouldn't necessarily say like, I mean maybe I daydream and get kind of off track and whatnot, but some days like it kind of helps me go through the day to like make progress in my own head about something, like whether it's for this podcast or just whatever, like figuring out and organizing plans and just, or like checking things off a list, or like, you know, just kind of contemplating what my evening hours look like or the next few days or whatever. And I'm like, I don't even know if that's almost like the opposite in ways, but that's like planning, but I'm still like there working and doing my actual active shit, but I'm thinking in terms of hours away or the next day or the next few days, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm kind of somewhere else, and like the thoughts about like what's to come is helping me get through the now in ways, because I'm like trying to think 1 and 2 and 3 steps ahead.
yeah.
You know? So I'm like just trying to check things off a list basically, and just trying to make waves in like what I'm, you know, trying to create. Like I was, you know, saying earlier today, I'm like just like looking at our forthcoming schedule, and like today was a good day to kind of assess it and think about it, considering it's, you know, July 1st, like at the time we're shooting this. And I'm like, well, what's the next 6 months like gonna look like? Not that we have to pinpoint everything down to an exact science, but you know, there's goals in certain episodes that we want to achieve by the end of the year, certain guests we want to have on, you know, certain solos that we want to shoot and everything. And you know, I was just kind of like, it was kind of helping me just prioritize everything in like a better kind of way. Not that everything has to be pinpointed to the exact time of when it's going to come out or whatever, but I like even kind of putting myself in that space helped me sort of get ready for because it felt like I was preparing for something that I won't have to deal with later if I think about it now. You know what I mean? So I'm like, well, at least I have some stuff set in stone, or some stuff like assessed now. And those are things I already kind of knew were probably going to happen anyway. And just, you know, crunching numbers and that type of shit. So, I mean, I guess that's another way of doing it, because I'm not really thinking about the now. I'm thinking about, like, the later, and you're just kind of, like, caught in your own thoughts.
Which, in a way, does suck, because it's always like, oh, live in the present, make sure you're there throughout your day, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I feel like escaping in moments where you are kind of just, like, dragging through, trying to clock in the hours, and if you can still be a productive member of the team while being able to escape into your thoughts, and like kind of, if you can like live there and it make in a positive space and it makes you happy and kind of like get you through the day, you know, while continuing to do your thing, like I enjoy that, you know, like there's like podcasts and things too that help me do that, or like even podcasts will get me thinking about things that you know, I'll kind of be in my own head listening to the podcast and thinking my own thoughts, you know.
And that's the thing, like lately we haven't really been able to listen to our headphones as much and stuff during, like, which I'd normally be doing. Mm-hmm. So like sometimes I'm like, oh, if I'm like touring, you know, places, or I'm like looking to where should I look, like apartments or just whatever the fuck, like whatever I'm looking at, I'm like, I could do this, then I could make this call to this person, I could do, you know, so you almost sort of put together the plan, and then like it almost saves time later to where you don't have to make that idea. You can just kind of do it as I'm just going and doing my actual work, and I'm just plotting for like the day on how to accomplish everything in like a time crunched manner, to where it does fill up a lot of my time the rest of the day real quick, but at least I'm getting a lot knocked out instead of just going with it, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I always think if I'm a little bit ahead, that I won't have to deal with some of this stuff later, you know what I mean? And then I can have all the more rest on my actual days off, I can have all the more, you know, thoughtless moments where I just can fucking chill and do my own thing rather than deal with it all then, you know what I mean? And so, like, sometimes I'll just try to do that. Like, even on my breaks, I'm like, okay, I got 15 minutes here to do this, and I can do, you know. And so I was just like, how can I build upon what we're already working on? You know what I mean? So I'm like, I just thought of, like, the best single use of all of my fucking time. And even today, as much as I got done, I'm like, man, I should have promoted this more. I should have done this and this. So, you know.
That's how it goes. There's always more you can do, but yeah. I guess that's kind of a good one for you now, then, though, daydreaming, because you've had to kind of do that a little more incidentally at work.
Yeah. I know. And
Not
once
being
they're
able
like,
to-
oh, you know, fucking, it's like, man, learning sports and like hearing more wrestling. I've still been actually keeping up, like whether I come back here during breaks or like during or after work or just whatever. I'm still getting all that same content inside my head pretty much. Maybe not in excess of like digging in the archives like I was doing, but I'm still hearing all the new shit of everybody that I want to listen to. And that's kind of mainly what I'm trying to do. But yeah, so it's, I would say it's probably fair because to a certain degree, some people just stare off like thoughtlessly and mindlessly for no reason and don't get anything
Yeah, that's detrimental.
accomplished with it. And then they're like, you know, but sometimes I'm in another space because I don't want to say just going through the motions, but like if I know what I'm doing and what I'm about in the moment enough, but I'm still doing my shit, making money, and I'm still working on the stuff I am doing, but while trying to plot ahead, and I am able to do both. Like I literally try to crunch as much stuff in as little time as possible so that I don't have to do the stuff later. You know what I mean? I'm like, how can I do this in the most efficient manner now as quickly as I can and get all the errands done I need to have done so I don't have to go back out later. It's like I always try to save, I'm always trying to save myself more
hate going
time.
back out later, especially on work days. If I can avoid having to go back out later,
I'm always trying to save myself more time in the back end, basically. And that's almost like what I try to do in a nutshell. Like every day, day in, day out, week in and week out. Like that is what it is. And I'm like, just so I'm like, oh, I promote this now and I do this now and I, don't have to do this later. And I'm like, then I could just have my time to myself to recover, to sleep in, to fucking do this and that. And like I try to do that with
you'll feel
so
more
much.
at peace if you know it's all done already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like I need you're
able to actually rest.
Yeah, I need the dopamine of that fucking reward.
I feel like I'm that way a little more as I get older too. Like, yeah, I used to be able to like block out my things. Like I'll do this now and then this later and then this later, and I still kind of have that like a set schedule when I clean certain things in the house or when I do like certain errands or like have to do this and that. But for the most part now I am like I want to get this and this and this and this and this done in my day, so that way by the time evening hits I can actually sit on the couch and read a book or watch a show and not be thinking about this other shit,
Well, and the difference between that now is like some of the listeners are probably like, oh man, you sound like anxious fucks and this and that. But the difference is now between 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and I'm sure you can relate years ago, is I feel like I can plan for these things even if I'm thinking about 20 things at once and not feel the anxiety I used to. Like I can actually be present. Like even now, as it's like later, whenever we're like filming podcasts, doing shit, and we know we have shit to take care of because we're pretty efficient at our stuff for the most part. Not perfect, but way more efficient in our planning and prepping for things and knowing what we're able to do. I can still be present and not stress about it. You know what I mean? The way I even a few years ago, and I'm sure you can relate to it in that kind of way. It's like I feel like I'm much more present than I was, and I can actually think about my words and like the way I'm saying and acting and reacting way better and way more with confidence than I could whenever I was filled with more anxiety than I am now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe that just goes with maturing and adulting and like not.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I can still, that like stressed out, weird, awkward, anxious fuck still lives in me and can come out. But yeah, I feel like overall I have things more kind of balanced to where I don't.
You can compartmentalize like.
And even
things
if
in your
things
mind
are a little shittier now at times, like I still have, don't get me wrong, I still have my moment where I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding.
Oh yeah.
Like where I like get
because the
pissed
plan
off
isn't
about
being made to perfection. You're like, fuck,
it
one
fucking
thing goes
pisses
wrong.
you off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the other thing is when you do start kind of laying your day out or your week out or whatever, and you have these plans, then when shit stands in your way or like shit just keeps going wrong or you're like not getting something done right or something, then it just kills you because you're like, this isn't the way I fucking figured this was gonna go. This wasn't the plan. Now I'm fucking stuck doing this dumb bullshit I didn't plan on doing.
It's just like the same thing as, you know, you get a bill for something that you didn't know you had to pay. You go to the DMV and you didn't have this thing that you had to have to do it. You didn't have the right insurance card if you had an appointment somewhere. It's just like, no, I fucking was supposed to come here today. This is all supposed to go down the way it is. And like, it's just,
the thing too,
it's
about
little
the DMV,
things like that just get in the fucking way.
Yeah.
It's like, you're supposed to, it's like, I don't need this. I had this all fucking planned. And like, it was all windowed. The time was all windowed in specifically to get this done today. I can't have it pushed back 2 weeks.
Yeah. When it feels so polished in your head.
Yeah.
It's like, that's when it's too polished, when you're like, okay, this is the plan, this is what I'm going to do.
Because you assume that if you plan
things
it,
can go bad, because that's when it can all get fucked up. Then
you assume that because you plan it well, that it's actually going to go that well. But there's external forces that you have no control over that something could go haywire.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah,
it's hard. And I don't mean to sound like I'm just always able to shake it off, because I don't. I'm the same way with, like, I'll be like, are you like I'll have a moment. Even though
I can collect myself a lot better now. Though.
Even though it doesn't bury me in like that kind of anxiety and just being pissed off like that often. There's times when like that moment will happen. And instead of it doesn't have an overhead and like shield or not even shield, but it doesn't have an overhead feeling over everything the way it did. But because you thought it was just this perfect, sometimes like if that one thing goes wrong, it makes you just drop everything and go 0 to 100. You're like, are you fucking kidding me? You're like, really? You're like, this is all like you won't even be irrational because everything up to that point had gone fucking pretty well.
Yeah.
So like that little thing that goes wrong will fuck the whole thing up.
Yeah,
but sometimes now
that is the issue.
I do see it's like easier to recover from those things than it was.
That's what
That's
I mean,
also
though.
the difference.
I still always have to have those moments. Yeah. Like Haley laughs at me. Like she almost imitates it to a point now where like I'll just have a split moment of like cleaning up shit or doing things, and then like something just won't be going right or this or that'll happen, and I'll just be like, oh, of course now.
Yeah.
Damn it. It's like everything's back to cool. I just do the thing, but like I have to release it while it's there, you know, when I'm feeling it like, fuck this, but then I'll do it, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like I not to like bring all that stuff up with when we came back from like the Taker show and everything, and I'm like, just the point of the point of that is what I'm getting at. I always think I'm like this shit isn't happening to one more motherfucker in this neighborhood right now, and it's gotta happen to me right now. God damn, I'm like, why? Why? Yeah, it's just like, why? Yeah. But here's sometimes what we lose sight of sometimes is like, think about all the other days where none of that posed a monkey wrench in your plan. You were spared all those days, you know what I'm saying? And then today, oh, it's your turn again, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's a lot, because especially once you get a good streak of everything just going really well, you forget that the external forces affect your shit the same way anybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, planning more stuff and actually have things going on, or people you're trying to see or spend time with, or even trying to chill. Like sometimes it's just, you know, things just fucking get in the way, and you have to deal with things. It makes me think sometimes though, whenever I'm super busy, I'm just like, man, if I just didn't plan. But then, like, if I was like, man, if I just didn't plan so much, or if I didn't even try to make all these plans or have all this stuff going on, I would have no stress. But then at the same time, how would you feel about yourself if you just
Life would
never have, yeah, you'd be like, yeah, I'm less stressed, but you're like, I don't feel like I have anything going on and I'm behind now and stuff. And
Then you would
what
be
if I
like,
want to pick this stuff back up?
kind of lonely and like sad and be like,
Yeah.
oh man, I don't ever see anybody anymore.
Yep.
And I just go to work and come home. You know, just that
You don't want to
sucks.
fall that
That
much off
sucks
the radar.
too. It's like there's a balance to that. You can't overbook yourself and not give yourself me time because, dude, I couldn't survive without it. But you also can't just only isolate yourself and not do anything.
I would feel like more shit about myself if I was just like, no, fuck it. I'm not doing any of this with anybody for a month. I'm sitting down, and then like it would only take so much time before you'd be like, man, I feel like a piece of shit. I'm not doing anything. Unless there was there would have to be a really good reason. Like you had a fucking really physical injury that impaired you from being able to do shit. And even that, to be honest with you, we could still podcast. We could still plan.
You could still do a lot of
There's
things.
almost like
your day to day would definitely be affected. But you could still do a lot of stuff.
But it's just like,
depending on the injury, I guess.
You know. But yeah, I definitely feel that way. But I'm like, man, I plan and plot so many heavy scheduled days so that I can have days where I can just fully recover, sleep, take my naps, have time to myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not have to worry about anything else. Now my foot's asleep, goddamn. But yeah, I would probably say fair for that. You gotta go on to the next thing here.
Yep.
Well, mine is a little bit in the wrestling vein. We won't go super deep, but we will throw it around real quick here. So mine is basically, and we know he's coming back at some point, but in the post-Roman Reigns era, I don't know if you saw the segment with Paul Heyman and the Bloodline on SmackDown and all that, and like, goddamn, that performance that he can give and deprive himself of sleep and have the red eyes and everything. So basically, like, it's still very fresh and green and new, but this temporary, before we get the rest of the chunk of the story here, this temporary part of the new bloodline, this era we're in right now, where we're still establishing, you know, Jacob Fatu and fucking, isn't that his name?
Mm-hmm.
And fucking Tamatonga, Tongalo, like all these guys, and this new layer of the story we're kind of, which, I mean, I would say it's still going on, but it is a brand new, it feels like it's definitely a departure from what was. I feel like what was kind of ended, at least for the moment now, and it's still inciting a brand new era of the Bloodline story.
Bloodline
and eventually
continuing, and it's going to wrap back around to the original.
It is, but it ended
it's a new
the way it
chapter,
was.
for sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't think
it's still the saga of the Bloodline. It's the same TV show, but it's a new chapter. It's a new set of characters.
But I don't think, I think it's a new layer, but it's not the same as it was, because in that sense you could still wrap stories that have gone on for years into, oh well, this led to this, and then this led to that,
I mean,
and then this led to that.
All legitly connected because
They
Solo was below Roman in the OG Bloodline.
I still don't necessarily think this is all one storyline. There's just been many layers added to the Bloodline as a faction.
Yeah,
it's not
kind of an ongoing.
You know what I mean? It's not. There's been many different parts.
They're calling them the new Bloodline.
Yeah,
so.
well, and that's what I was gonna say. This new Bloodline era, because Roman's nowhere to be found, not gonna be anywhere for quite some time still.
Yeah.
So the crowd needs to chill their shit. He needs to take a good fucking rest.
They're going hard. I could see him coming back anywhere. If it doesn't happen at SummerSlam season, it's not happening maybe before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. But you know, for this new chapter now, the Roman's exited for the time being, and I mean he has been for a while now, almost 3 months he's been going crazy. What do you think so far? Do you think it's? I mean, obviously there's a lot more layers to be unfolded, and these guys got to establish themselves. But do you think it's, you know, getting a decent amount of reception? Do you think it's better than what people are giving it credit for? Oh, it's not as interesting as when Roman was involved.
I honestly do.
Or do you think it's a little lesser than it was, and it takes time to build, or do you think it's getting about what it deserves attention wise?
I mean, I feel like it. Honestly,
Paul is honestly one of the biggest factors selling it right now.
I mean, he's always been one of the biggest parts of the Bloodline story, anyways. Like, even with Roman's bloodline, you know, like he was a huge selling point of that.
He's still like the connecting fabric to that story still, to be honest. Like he's without it, it would really feel, I feel like, much more disconnected from Roman.
Oh yeah, he definitely.
Than it is.
He definitely,
even with Solo
he's
having
the
been
one
with them.
that is fully still siding with Roman's bloodline, but he's like stuck with these guys. You know, I think that it's honestly. It is a little strange, I will say, because Solo just brought all these dudes in. None of these guys were the OG bloodline. So that in itself, I will say, is kind of like Solo's the only one tying this all together besides Paul, like within the actual bloodline.
And Solo was the last one brought in.
Tonga, Loa, yeah, and Jacob Fatu were all like pretty fresh. Jacob Fatu really fresh. So it's like, in Solo, yeah, he was like the silent enforcer, pretty much, until he took over. So it's like, that all felt, I can see why a lot of people would be like, I'm not near as attached to this, because, you know, we didn't fucking know Solo, really.
These guys are going to take some time to build, though, either way.
Yeah, oh, yeah. And I feel like them all being together here at the beginning, because they have just been menaces, like, on SmackDown since they came on. Like, they've just been beating people down backstage, dragging them out all bloody. They fucked up Paul Heyman, like, Cody Rhodes got an injury from Jacob Fatu. They fucked up Randy and Kevin. They're cleaning house, so they are presenting them strong. And I feel like, yeah, people, all that being said, like, I can understand the criticism in certain aspects, but all these guys, too, are, in the wrestling community at least, like, known wrestlers already. Jacob Fatu, he's been talked about for a while as coming into the bloodline. You know, like, people know of him from, like, MLW and stuff, and yeah, same with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, like, they were New Japan guys, and so they're obviously established wrestlers. It's not like they're just like, oh, these guys are from the Samoan Dynasty, and they've been training, let's bring them in WWE. Like, they are already established themselves. And I don't think really the fans are giving them a chance. They might be playing into it in a way too, like selling them as the heels and being like, oh, we want Roman to come back and whoop your guys' ass. But I feel like, yeah, the crowd's just kind of like, ah, fuck them. This isn't as good as Roman's. We want Roman's bloodline back. And kind of like selling it off before it's really had a chance to blossom into the full story it is. I feel like it's already becoming pretty interesting with this version of the bloodline. There's
got to be peaks and valleys, you know what I'm saying? People needed a break from the high that it was on to I'm not saying insinuating that it's like a low by any means either, but now we're back in the building process again. It was at such a high, it was impossible for it to go beyond.
Well, yeah, WrestleMania season. Once Roman lost the title, though, you knew it was gonna dip.
There had to be, and he was going to take time off, and now we're rising again slowly because these guys are building. You know
it's already interesting though. Like,
it
that's
is.
the thing.
No,
I feel like it's going well, but the crowd is just like,
sure.
I don't know about this shit. I think it's going to turn out to be a damn good story.
I like it. I just hope they continue on the pace they're on and not rush it, which is why, like, I expect, I mean, fans want Roman and stuff, but you got to be patient with this process because, like, it's going to be a payoff whenever he comes back, but these guys need some time to build to make this as quality as it should be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, people are already like, oh, we're going to do this at SummerSlam, or it's like,
no.
Jesus.
Although it'd be a badass War Games match, the family versus the family.
It could be a Survivor Series, yeah. Or I could even see them building to like a Bloodline Civil War at Mania or something. But
I definitely think
The
there's
Rock
a
could get
chance.
involved for that one though.
I definitely think there's a chance we could see. I'm going back to what I said before. I think there's a chance to be Roman versus Solo if Solo builds himself up more next year Mania, and if they end up going Rock and Cody. That could be interesting too. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's hard to believe that would be any sooner.
Mania thing made me think they're gonna face each other down the road, but that obviously is the last that's been talked about because
The Rock had to go away.
But I don't know. Like, there's a lot of ways they could take the Bloodline stuff. It's kind of funny because right now, though, the way Raw and SmackDown is set up is like, since the Wyatt Six came around, you have the Wyatt Six kind of like raising hell over on Raw, and the Bloodline is just cleaning up fucking shop on SmackDown. You just got like two factions just like fucking up the show.
There's a lot going on. And then Seth came back, and then you got the Liv and Dom stuff happening.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff happening right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of Drew and Punk.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of shit going on. Plus, you have the IC title stuff is looking good with
hot.
like Sammy and like the Chad Gable potentially doing the new team angle with the Creed brother family and Ivy Nile. It'll be like all that shit. Like, I feel like Otis and Chad are gonna face each other, and the crowd's getting really behind that shit too. Like, want Otis to turn on Chad because he's just being such a prick.
Oh yeah.
Like
Chad's a great prick.
Oh yeah.
Great.
Yeah, he's hilarious. He's like believable too. It's just being like kind of that like smaller guy that's like a great mat wrestler but kind of still has that syndrome about him. It's like, I gotta be the fucking boss. You listen to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, it's so funny.
You're not as good as me. Yeah, dude. The show, like, WWE is running hot right now. They really are. Like, and that's not really, like, I know there's a lot of ways you could shit on AEW right now, but, like, they do have a lot of talent over there. I'm sure Will Ospreay's putting on some fire matches. Like, there's...
I heard he put over Swerve big time.
Yeah.
Made him look like $1 million at Forbidden Door.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And that's big also because I don't know if Ospreay's even lost a match.
Well, yeah, a lot of people were predicting he wasn't going, like, Swerve wasn't going to drop the belt yet. They think that maybe maybe Ospreay will pick it up at, like, All In.
That could definitely happen. And that's almost another 2 months.
Be in Wembley.
That's like late August, so that's close to 2 months.
Yeah. Maybe that could be more of a... If it's not a one-on-one situation, it wouldn't look as bad, but... Because they have to have one more show between there.
I don't actually know.
I feel like Forbidden Door, and this is probably just me being a bad wrestling fan, because outside of a lot of American names, I didn't know a lot of talent. That's like, I was a big fan of a lot of the Asian talent that came into like WWE and AEW and stuff, but like I didn't keep up actively with New Japan. So like Forbidden Door season was always kind of one of my like more seasons of AEW anyways, because I was like, the week to week, I don't know half these guys and girls coming in for these matches, you know?
You see Britt Baker return, though?
Yeah, I did see that.
And she got a fucking massive pop.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. She's gonna show...
They needed her.
She's gonna show fucking Mercedes who the boss is there, man.
The CEO, bro.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Tony is the champ. Tony and Britt could have some fire matches, dude. Timeless Tony Storm, I will say. That character's fantastic. She's doing great work, too. That's the thing. AEW, like, Britt's probably... That's awesome that she came back, though, because the women's division, they need some help.
Yeah.
Over there. It's... Dude, Tony...
I don't think it's their fault.
Tony just looks like
think
a frazzled, like a frazzled...
They don't know what to do with Mercedes. They're just putting every fucking belt on her.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, dude. He's pampering some of these stars to the point where he's losing so much money on some of this talent. It's wild. Like, because Mercedes had even said that, you know, it was kind of like pulling teeth with WWE to do some of her acting gigs. Like when she was getting cast and things, when she had to go do stuff, it was hard for her to get the time off to go do it. And she's like, with Tony, he said, oh yeah, whatever you need, whatever shows you need off, you know, we'll give you a private jet and we'll fly you out to wherever you need to go, blah, blah, blah. So he's just pampering these people that he's bringing in for massive amounts of money. And it's not even that Mercedes isn't that good, or like Will isn't that good, or like some of this talent that they're bringing in isn't great, but it's just like they're not creating the revenue because AEW's not creating the revenue right now. So he's dropping so much money on people to see no return. It's just wild.
It's almost like they're hiring people just to keep them out of WWE instead of any sort of internal investment to keep them there, you know?
And it's so sad that like wrestling fandom online has gotten so fucking toxic in the past like year and a half, 2 years with the whole AEW WWE thing, and like now that AEW is clearly dropping and losing, kind of like, it's not that they were ever not losing when it came to ratings, you know, they never were really like standing up to WWE. They were beating NXT consistently for a good while, but like it was never a competition in that sorts. But now that people are talking about, oh, their ratings are this and this and this and this, like AEW fans are taking these crazy approaches to arguments. And I'm not an AEW hater. Like, I do like a lot of people over there, and I've kept up with it at least to a point for the, you know, since it came out pretty much. Like I want to see them do well, but like some of the dumbass things Tony says sometimes is absurd. Just some of the shit that he puts out there, it's like, why would you say that? And AEW fans, like the toxic fanboys on the internet, are like, make you not want to like it just because they're like, oh, WWE thinks they know they fucked up now. Did you see that match Will put on? They didn't sign him, and they're definitely. It's like, no. Do you see what they're doing right now?
The match.
I
They
feel
cite
like they're
one.
fine.
They cite one situation where they put on a great match, and they think WWE's fucked.
They're like, wow, they know they fucked up by not signing them.
Do you guys have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stories that are going on that are continuous, that are interesting, that are drawing money?
Yeah.
I don't think the match is going to turn the tide.
And that's the thing that, like, WWE recently, their mid-card stories have been just as entertaining as the main event stories. Like, they've kind of, that's came back. Like, for a while.
And see, I have stuck up for the underdog throughout the years. I'm not saying like I've shit on WWE in the process, but I have given them flack for the things that they've done badly, like the tag team division, at times the women division, sometimes even their heavyweight situation beyond a few of the main people was terrible.
Yeah.
But right now, like, the crowd is reacting huge everywhere. The stories are good. People are there's hype being built around them and to see the matches, you know? And like, it's all about audience reaction, and they want to see what happens, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's hard to argue with. You know, if it's not your cup of tea, that's one thing, but the audiences everywhere are fucking going hot for this shit. So
yeah.
But what do you think about the new Bloodline Era, per se?
I would actually say it's a little underrated.
You think?
In the current moment. Because I feel like it's already pretty intriguing, and I feel like it's only going to further develop into something better from here.
Because they're going to make sure this story is well crafted.
It's a good follow-up, because it's going to tie the Usos and Roman back into it.
Yeah.
It's going.
Fucking Jay's like, I can't fucking get away from this shit.
Jay got away from it a lot better than Jimmy ever did.
Oh yeah. Well, Jimmy's tied to it because Jimmy fucking lost that match, and that was the worst brother. That was the worst brother match.
Jimmy has
sure.
been utterly fucked in every aspect of the Bloodline story. He didn't get the pin on Roman.
He's been punished for his fucking DUIs, man.
He was the petty brother that cost his brother. Jay got the title match against Roman. Jay's had the big singles run and got the yeet over, and he's in Money in the Bank. He beat Jimmy at Mania. Jimmy's never got out of the Bloodline. Jimmy took the beat down from Roman, and Jimmy took the beat down from Solo after Mania, and he hasn't been seen since. It's like Jimmy got
He's
no
gonna come back as a
wins.
face.
Oh yeah, he's gonna join back
Yeah.
with the Usos.
Yeah,
it's gonna
100%.
be with him and Jay again.
100%.
I mean, they're twins. They're always going to be connected.
You can always tell that story too, because
they'll
everybody
always be tied
knows.
to each other.
Everybody knows, like, it's a natural story that not even just twins, but siblings, brothers, sisters, a brother and a sister, whoever. You fight with them, you come back together. You fight, you come. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an ongoing, forever story. You know.
Yeah.
It's as natural as the fucking sun coming up in the morning, man. Knock
Yeah,
on
you
wood.
can tell the sibling story over and over.
But
Yeah.
it's underrated.
Yeah, I would say it's a little underrated at the given moment. I think that it'll get time to develop and people start giving it the credit it's due once it gets to that point. But people aren't really giving it that time yet. It'll get there though.
Yeah, be patient, man.
These stories develop, but that's wrestling fans, and it's been that way forever. People just want it to happen now, even though it's so much better whenever it's told long form.
Well, I think that
The
about
reward.
wraps it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say the reward is just so much sweeter when they play it out for months rather than just give it to you, you know?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that about does it, I guess, huh? We gave him a
Indeed.
hell of an effort here tonight.
Indeed. We did. We ran a while in the segment last time we did a solo episode, and this is even longer of an episode. It's not even done yet.
We're damn near there.
But well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode, another solo effort, and hope you enjoy the new segment. We got plenty more of topics, categories to come. We hope everybody's doing pretty well out there. So thank you for tuning in big time, by the way, to our 5-year anniversary episode.
Hell yeah.
Got some good ratings, some nice listens, shares, views, some
Much appreciated.
some good talk going on around the fucking water cooler about it. You know, it's summertime. Have a beer. So we will see you next time in episode 138. Until then, take care of yourselves out there. Have a great week.